Hey everyone! Hey!
Hi.
Hey, can you guys on the couch hear me?
Yep. We can, but there is no way you can hear all three of us, right?
I actually can, well, I can hear all three of you, just, not when you all talk at once, but, we can make that work.
Okay, yeah.
Awesome. Well, hey everyone, welcome to the Cyber Apocalypse live stream. As always, I'm your wonderful host, Dark, and here with me, I have some really awesome people. We're doing something truly spectacular for this live stream. Would you guys mind introducing yourself? Maybe start with Panos and then going down from there?
Yeah, okay, sure. So, hi, I'm Panos. I'm the community manager for Hack the Box for 6 months now, but I was here before that as well. Adam, do you want to go on?
I am Adam, or Pocket Spy, one of the community specialists. I'll be one of the co-hosts for Cyber Apocalypse.
And hi, I'm Harris or Chap. I'm the founder and CEO of Hack the Box.
Heck yeah. Now thank you so much for joining us, and thank you, chat, for making the trip over here to be part of the live stream. This is awesome.
Thank you for inviting me.
Of course, anytime. No, this is
in the stream by my company. Thank you for that.
And also paid by you, but
And paid by me,
okay.
I mean, when you put it that way, maybe next time we say let's just invite Goblin. We'll say Chap can sit this one out, right? Yeah, keep you off the hook, right? Well, thank you so much for joining us. We have some awesome workshops planned today. I don't know if you guys have had the chance to take a look at the workshops quite yet, but here is what we have coming up. First and foremost, we have an overview of our brand new certification by Zayad. This is an overview of the Hack the Box CWEE, which is the Certified Web, I believe, Exploitation Expert, which is, if you haven't had the chance to check this out yet, it's cool. We have, I'm personally someone that I really like web hacking. It's a lot of fun. The technologies involved there are just super cool. So it's going to be a great talk. Have you guys on the couch had the chance to take a look at the talk materials yet, or the cert?
The cert, no. I think I didn't even look at the titles yet. But I will. I promise you. But it's very new, right? It came out how many? 2 weeks ago, I think. Something like
Yeah,
that.
roughly 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, it should be nice. I mean, the feedback that I have heard going around is very positive.
Heck yeah.
Have you guys ever gone into the deep web stuff as professionals? I mean, in your careers, like
Me, no. As a professional, definitely not.
I think I've also stayed at the surface level. Maybe did some extra stuff, but
I did a bit of surface level over at my full time. So we do a bunch of API web testing, process scripting, idlers,
the usual stuff. Okay.
whatever you can find before the service goes live to the customers, basically. But yeah.
Heck yeah. Falcon, we might need to boost your mic just a little bit. You're a little quiet for me. We did have Goblin Hop in the chat, speak of the devil. Would you guys like to talk about the awesome place that you're at today?
Yeah. So, in case any of you are in New York City, we are in the OS. I think the address is 50 Bowery Street. There's no way I pronounced that right, but if you add on Uber or whatever OS New York City, yes, you will get the
OSNYC.
place. You will be here.
OSNYC,
Yes.
down on Bowery Street.
So yes, if you are anywhere close, you can come by and have a talk with us as well. I'm not sure you're gonna make it in the stream, probably not, but
Heck yeah. No,
Well,
I believe that they have open gaming.
they can what?
They can just burst in the stream. It's an open space.
Yes, it's an open space. If you come, you can just walk in front
Yeah,
of us.
just walk in
Yeah.
front of the camera. It'll be
exactly.
fine.
Yeah, just Leroy Jenkins that just burst right on in through the doors, right?
Yes, we left our bodyguards back in Greece.
Oh, okay. Well, I mean, everyone, you heard it here first. Yeah, this is OS NYC. If you didn't quite catch that, they have an open gaming, I believe, starting here at noon,
Yep.
not Iowa time. So, 11 CST. Go ahead, Panos.
No, I didn't say. I was agreeing with you.
Yeah, no, it's awesome stuff. I'm glad that you guys were able to get all set up. And thank you everyone so much for oh my goodness, we have a flash mob incoming apparently. Thank you so much for, everyone's patience as we got audio going. This is just something special we wanted to try for this stream. So Yeah, no, it worked out well. We have most of the team withstanding me just due to some life circumstances over there in New York. So really cool stuff, and we're really excited to bring you some awesome content. After the CWE talk, we have another really cool talk by yours truly, that man on the far right of the couch for me, Panos. You want to talk about your talk? Talk
This
stuff.
is going to be by far my worst video so far.
Okay.
So I had this idea of speedrunning very easy challenges from last year, but it turns out that I had a very small collection of challenges that I could pick from. For example, since it's a beginner workshop, I thought about doing, for example, the very easy reverse challenge as well. But if it is a beginner workshop, you have to explain what the compiler is, right, before using it, and how certain commands in reverse, what do they mean. So there's no way I was doing that in 20 minutes and speedrunning at the same time.
Not with that attitude.
So yeah, I picked the very easy web stuff, and I tried to explain stuff that need an explaining. But yeah, okay, you will like it, whatever.
Yeah, awesome stuff. No, it's really going to be great. Did you guys want to jump in at all on that? Go for it.
I got nothing.
You got
Let's
nothing?
just talk.
I think they haven't seen it yet.
Yeah, I have no idea either.
If after that point you don't see me as part of the couch, it's because they fired me.
Well, you might be watching Hack the Box history happen here as we have this live stream today.
You will see people come, people go, friendships broken, everything, you know.
What is this, like a Christopher Nolan movie at this point?
Hey, it's going to last 3 to 4 hours, so probably yes.
Oh my god, I had to hold my tongue on that one. Well, let's continue on with productive things. Let's talk about our other talks that are coming up. Behind the camera, helping me run the show, we have the awesome, the indomitable Emma. She's going to be giving her talk on why staying in your parents' basement isn't the best way to become a hacker. I know, big shocker on that one. Now, Chap, I know you probably spent a lot of time in basements. Do you have any thoughts on this?
Okay, I don't know how to react to this.
Good. That's exactly what I wanted.
Yeah, I think you can do it also on the ground floor. It's
Oh, okay.
but yeah, I don't know if
I think
I've spent a lot of time in in front of a computer screen, but I don't recall if it was. I don't recall the rest of the space. I only remember my screen. So
I think it has to do more with about how socializing and joining local communities can help you and accelerate the process much faster than being a loner. I think that's the main point of it. She's giving me thumbs up from the back, so I guess I got it right.
You get to Casco and collect $200.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, after that, we have the talk by, yours truly, the one and only, me. I don't know what else to say here. Now, Adam, I know that you're also a corporate pen tester. Have you had any pleasant experiences to speak of with printers? Any good ones at all? You can talk about bad ones too, but
Let's see. If I remember correctly, on one of my assessments or previous engagements, as a red team operator, we actually went up to one of the printers, looked at the memory that it had in there, tried reprinting some of the things that were in there, and there's some sensitive stuff.
I have stuff.
I have a printer story.
Oh no!
Oh God, this can get out of hand very easily.
Would you say it'd be out of toner very quick? No.
That
was terrible. Okay. I used to be a pen tester as well for some years, and I was doing an assessment in a lawyer office, whatever they are called.
Law firm.
I got it right the first time.
Yes.
Didn't need to do the rest. Okay. And there was a printer open on the network. You didn't need any how do you call them, authentication or anything. You just logged into the Wi-Fi, you could see the printer. And on the previously printed stuff and previously scanned stuff, they had absolutely everything.
Yeah.
Everything, all the contracts, all the passports, all the IDs, everything was
Wait,
there.
you're saying the printers have a hard drive and memory? What?
I think it's just they have a little goblin inside, not our goblin, the
Are
monster.
you
Our
sure about
goblin
that?
is no little for sure.
It's probably easier just to say Keebler elves.
Oompa Loompa. They are full of Oompa Loompa.
Loompa. Okay.
Making me think of the little people that run the shrink ray and Rick and Morty.
Yeah. I remember that too.
Oh my goodness. Chap, have you had any pleasant experiences with printers? I know everyone's had, has horror stories on this. Or can you confirm that Goblin does live inside a printer?
Goblin does not live inside the printer. He does not fit inside the printer. The usual printer mistake I'm seeing is printer logged into the Active Directory as domain admin, so they can access the
What?
so they can easily share information. I've seen this in many organizations. Not not doing a pen test, just out of the blue. Let me print something. Oh, funny. Oh, sysadmin. That's great.
That's nice.
Yeah.
Excuse me, what?
Who is your domain controller? Our printer.
I've seen worse, so I that does track. So this is the theme of the printers talk. It's a hot mess, and we wouldn't have any other way. It's like a standard print job. Last but certainly not least, we're ending on an awesome high note. We have Going Beyond Root on Beginner Forensics Challenges. This one is given by ZeroXDF. Is David there with you guys?
No, he had to leave yesterday.
Like the story playing hooky on us.
It
Well, that's okay. We can talk crap about him behind his back, right?
Yeah, totally.
not
We,
recorded.
we always do anyway.
You had to tell him. I thought he didn't know yet.
He's probably not watching the stream. He will never learn.
Yeah, that tracks. Awesome stuff. Well, thank you all so much. We're going to go ahead and get started with our first awesome workshop, get into, the meat and potatoes here, but we'll be back after that workshop with more shenanigans. Yeah, that's what this was, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely.
It's joke. Definitely. A joke.
Yeah. Awesome. Thank you so much. Let's go ahead and get into our first talk, and we'll be back right after that.
Good day, everyone, and welcome to this year's Cyber Apocalypse ETF. Today, I'll be talking about our most recent certificate, which is CWEE, the Certified Web Exploitation Expert. I'll talk about what it is, who's it for, what it covers, and how to get it. So, what is CWEE? The Hack the Box Web Exploitation Expert Certificate, HTB CWEE, is our most recent and most advanced web application pen testing certificate. CWEE is the successor to our CBBH certificate. When we start learning about web pen testing, we start to learn about the intro to web applications and web exploitation. We learn about common web vulnerabilities. We learn about manual and automated exploitation of various intermediate level web vulnerabilities. And then we can do the CBBH exam and get CBBH certified. At this level, we would be considered at the intermediate level of web exploitation. And if we want to pursue more advanced web application pen testing, we can pursue CWEE. It covers hard to find vulnerabilities of all sorts. It covers advanced web exploitation. It covers and thoroughly covers white box pen testing, as well as thoroughly covering exploit development. And I'll get into that in a bit. But after that, you would be CWEE certified. So basically, CWEE builds on the knowledge you gain from CBBH and takes you all the way to advanced web pen testing. Now, this level of web pen testing is especially required by some organizations like banks and governments who need this next level and top level of web application pen testing and web security. But who is CWEE for? This certificate is a perfect choice for senior penetration testers, for web penetration testers, especially advanced ones, for web developers, web security engineers, and source code reviewers. It is also very beneficial for those who are trying to do advanced bug bounty hunting. So basically, whoever is interested in identifying advanced web vulnerabilities would be suitable for CWEE. Anybody who passed CBBH should be a perfect fit to start pursuing CWEE. And those who passed CPTS but not CBBH can also start pursuing CWEE, since CPTS covers about 10 web modules, and they can perhaps do some of the remaining ones before starting CWEE. Now, let's get into the main part and discuss the CWEE scope. What does CWEE covers? While CBBH covered the vast majority of web vulnerabilities by teaching how to identify them and how to understand them, while also covering key principles on how to approach a web assessment and how to write a professional web assessment report. At this level, however, it isn't enough to basically just cover the vast majority of advanced web vulnerabilities and techniques, as they come in different forms and keep changing over time, and can also look different depending on the circumstances. This is why when we were developing CWEE and designing it, it was very crucial to consider what to cover and, most importantly, what not to cover. So from the start, we set the main goal for CWEE to be teaching how to identify advanced web vulnerabilities regardless of their forms and shapes, and not just a few select advanced web vulnerabilities. We heavily focused on techniques and processes while using common advanced web vulnerabilities as exercises and examples, through which we think the vast majority of important and crucial advanced web vulnerabilities were actually covered. We also followed a 50-50 approach when it comes to white box pen testing and black box pen testing. So the first half of the modules are covering black box pen testing, and the remaining are covering white box pen testing. For black box, obviously, we try to identify advanced web vulnerabilities from an attacker's POV, and we do the same with white box pen testing as well from an attacker POV. But at the same time, we cover code reviews, local testing of the web application, developing a proof of concept for the vulnerabilities that we identify, and at the end, patching and remediating all of those vulnerabilities. We put heavy emphasis on covering exploit development through various modules, not only the white box ones, and we also covered a lot of code reviewing techniques. So you'd be able to identify vulnerabilities in a large code base. And every one of the white box pen testing modules covers a slightly different technique and code reviews, so you learn various techniques and reviewing code bases. We also cover secure coding, so the white box pen testing modules cover how to patch the identified vulnerabilities in the code blocks, and we also have a dedicated secure coding module, which is the very last module in the path. Now, throughout all of this, we obviously cover a lot of advanced web vulnerabilities. We cover advanced injections, attacking advanced authentication mechanisms. We cover attacking HTTPS and TLS requests, blind web attacks, second order web attacks, bypassing advanced security filters, deserialization attacks, modern web exploitation techniques, and so on. Now, we think this covers the vast majority of common advanced web vulnerabilities, which makes you very competent with all of those vulnerabilities. But at the same time, the same processes and techniques can be used to identify future web vulnerabilities that are not known now, and even 0 days. We can go to the exams page on HackerBox Academy and then visit the related job role path, which is the Senior Web Penetration Tester path, and we'd see a list of all the modules that are within this certificate and within this path. We actually recommend taking the modules one by one in the same order that they are in within the path, because all of the modules have been specifically designed to be in that order. There are certain prerequisites and requirements that are covered in one module then can be learned in the other. For example, the intro to white box pen testing module starts the journey towards white box pen testing, and all of the modules that come after it are actually in white box pen testing. So starting with this module, you'd learn the processes and techniques about white box pen testing, and then all of the remaining modules after it try to cover slightly different techniques and processes that are in the same field. And the same goes for other types of processes and techniques and vulnerabilities. Finally, let's discuss how to get CWEE. First of all, as always, is to finish the related job role path, which in this case is the Senior Web Penetration Tester path. There are multiple ways we can get this path. The recommended way is getting the Gold Annual Subscription, which unlocks all of the modules up to level 3. Now, this also covers CBBH and CPTS and CDSA modules. It also includes a CWEE voucher within it, and includes exercise guidance for the entire path. Even though this is a subscription, any modules you complete will remain unlocked in the future, including any future updates or reviews for the module. Next, we can purchase the modules in the path through buying individual cubes. There are 15 tier 3 modules, each of which cost about 500 cubes, which is 7,500 cubes. But remember that you get about 1,500 cubes back, so you only need about 6,000 or so. The difference here is that you will only be getting the CWEE modules because you are only unlocking those 15 modules. After that, you'll also need to purchase the CWEE exam voucher. You may also go with a monthly subscription like the Platinum subscription. That gives you 1,000 cubes a month, So you need about 6 months to complete all of the modules, which may be suitable for some people. Now, this method as well, you will only be getting the CWEE modules, and you will also need to get the CWEE exam voucher. Now, obviously, there's a way to get all of this free of charge, which is by participating in and winning this year's CACTF. Once you go through the entire path and complete all of the modules within it, you may proceed into taking the CWEE exam. It is a 10-day exam. It covers both white box and black box, just like the path. It's required reviewing large code bases, requires exploit development to automate your exploitation, and it requires patching the vulnerable code. So it is highly recommended before joining the exam that you thoroughly understand the entire path and all of the vulnerabilities, processes, and techniques covered within it, and that you have a good grasp on white box pen testing in addition to the normal black box pen testing. This includes being able to go through a large code base and spotting a specific vulnerability within it, and then being able to take advantage of this vulnerability and exploiting it. And in certain cases, you will also need to write an exploit to be able to exploit this vulnerability. And finally, you will need to be able to patch this vulnerability such that the web application would no longer be vulnerable to the same vulnerability. If you have a good grasp on all of this, you should be ready for the CWEE exam. Now, it is true that this is an advanced exam. It can be a very challenging exam, but the path should be enough to pass the exam if you understand everything within it, like I said. Finally, after doing the CWEE exam, first of all, you will need to submit your report, as is the case with the other Hack the Box certifications. This exam, as an advanced exam, has higher requirements for the report grading, and the report needs to be written in Markdown. You will also need to provide any exploits that you developed throughout the exam, and you'll also need to provide patches for any vulnerabilities you identify through code analysis. Now, to make this easier for you, we do provide a guided template, which is a markdown template that covers all of the things that you need to cover within this report. Then you wait for the results. We usually deliver the results within 20 working days. You either pass and get feedback on your attempt and your report, or perhaps some people fail and they will also get feedback and how to improve before their free retake on the second attempt. Now, to do the free retake, you need to submit a report and you need to take it within 14 days. And once you pass, it is time to celebrate because getting CWEE is definitely a major achievement and you should give yourself a pat on the back. What about after passing? You should employ your knowledge that you gained throughout this path and throughout this certificate. At this point, you should definitely be market ready for advanced web pen testing. You should be able to carry advanced bug bounty hunting and at the same time be ready for advanced job roles in the field. And this is it from my side. I hope you've enjoyed this talk and that I've covered all of your questions about CWEE. If you have any other questions, please post them down in the chat and I'll try to answer them. Thanks, everyone.
Hey, everyone. Welcome back. Hi. I realized when we got started, I should have probably mentioned, we have a CTF that's part of this. At least I've been told that we have that. So yeah, Panos, would you like to go over the CTF at least briefly? I know you're running the show with that, so happy to let you talk about it.
I guess I can say a couple of things about it. So, Cyber Apocalypse, it's our annual CTF. We do it every year. It's our biggest event. And we try to have a little bit of something for everyone, like all the categories that we are able to do, all the difficulties. I mean, part of my workshop that it's coming up next, unless you want to turn your face away from the screen for 20 minutes or so, is about how we have very easy challenges for everyone, or even a complete beginner, but at the same time, some of the insane stuff that I'm part of Hack the Box and I have access to the write-up, I read the write-up and I do not understand it.
Awesome.
I try to reproduce it and I fail with a write-up, describing every little step and every single thing that I have to copy and paste in it. But there are people better than me because people solve this. There are a lot of people better than me. So yeah, I think it's for everyone. It's CTF for everyone.
It's going to be awesome. And that's starting tomorrow, correct?
Yes. Tomorrow.
Awesome.
Okay, let's say 20 hours from now.
Actually,
maybe...
if you want a precise time, let me actually you just for a moment. There we go. It's 21 hours, 19 minutes, and 3, 2, 1 second. Well, now it's 18 minutes, but yeah.
Okay, that's a nice time. Plus the possible downtime. It's 21 hours, 30 minutes.
Yeah. It's going to be awesome. And keep in mind, as always, these challenges are going to be available after the fact. Definitely check them out. If you are just itching to start, definitely look at last year's challenges. I mean, heck, we have a video coming up on some of last year's challenges in just a moment, which is going to be great.
But before that, I want to take advantage of what Zigyat said. And since all of us were kind of cybersecurity professionals, I want to ask the rest of the guys and you, John, if you ever did any bug bounty, because I never did. I never tried. Maybe I could, but I never registered to any of the platforms or anything. So, did you ever did officially or unofficially any bug bounty
I've
hunting?
reported bugs to organizations.
That's, I mean,
but
unofficially. Yeah.
That's before bug bounty was a real thing.
Ah, okay.
So no, those aggregator platforms, etc.
You are so young, though.
Sorry?
You are so young, though.
Yeah, I'm like on my early 20s now.
Ah,
Can't
okay,
you see?
yeah.
We just,
You're so.
we're just going to glaze over that. That's fine.
I am actually glazing him. That's what you get.
Well, that is something that I hope someone clips.
I don't think Panos is doing any talk today, though. I think his
okay.
time is running out in this organization.
Oh,
Okay, it doesn't matter. Just let me keep my ticket to return to Greece, please. I cannot survive.
No, you can just ship
You're
them over here
right.
to the land of the corn. I'll just throw them out in a cornfield. It'll be fine. There's plenty of food. It's not even that cold out right now. It's only 32 outside in not freedom units. What's that? Just 0? Yeah. That's warm.
In New York, it's like 11 Celsius. I don't do freedom units. I'm sorry, guys.
I haven't looked at the temperature today. I'm sure it's like high 50s or something for freedom unit users. 46. All right, 46 freedom units.
Real quick, for everyone that has just joined, it looks like we have quite a few new people that have joined. Do you guys want to say your names real quick, just so that folks know who you are, and maybe what briefly you do in the Hack the Box company or in the community?
Do you want one of us to introduce another person in the Scouts, but not himself?
Sure, if you guys want to introduce each other and go around roundtable style, it'll be great.
Like sitting there, it's up, the very young and beautiful owner of the company.
There you go.
Which I hope I will work for the rest of my life.
Flawless. No notes.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Over
Perfect
here
glazing.
then is Panosom, our community manager, one of my best employees. I'm so proud of him and his progress, and he will always be working with this company.
Perfect glazing. Back and forth.
You're just gonna leave Adam out? Well, Adam,
I could talk about myself.
Nobody cares about you.
Yes. I'm just
You're
a
the new
guy.
guy.
I'm just a dude playing a dude. I'm Adam, or Falcon Spy, one of the community specialists here. Also, one of the co-hosts here for Cyber Apocalypse. I do a lot of things community, and that's about it.
I was just gonna let you hang there for a moment. Awkward silence is great, and I love to bring it on.
You were also
It's
perfectly
weaponized
still. And
silence.
I thought the network crashed. You were perfectly still. Okay.
Yeah,
sometimes I do that when I get phone calls from like robocalls that I just won't say anything, or I try to do my best impression of like a robotic answering machine and say, "Hello, you've reached a non-working number," something stupid like that. Oh my goodness! I guess we're getting a little bit away.
You never answered if you have done any bug bounty officially.
Oh yeah. Okay, so I do have a funny story about this. It's actually from right before I started working at Hack the Box. I've done a little bit of bug bounty before. I like web. It's a lot of fun, and it's an area that I think I need to improve on. I'm personally a big fan of working on like mainframe systems and old metal like that. It's technology peaked in the 80s. I can't be proven wrong on that. You can't fight me on that. But anyhow, before I joined Hack the Box, I applied at HackerOne for the job that Jesse actually ended up working at there as one of their community managers. And in order to apply there, I made an account on HackerOne at that time and figured, hey, wait, I should probably have an account for this.
that'd be pretty helpful.
So yeah, that's I have software that I'm working on outside of work, and it's like bug bounty related, and I keep telling myself, "Oh, John, you should go do bug bounty and work on that in concert with doing this." I just keep working on the software. It's awful. Have you guys ever done that where you have that nagging voice in the back of your head that you should go out and do this like hacking training, but you
Not for
think that
hacking,
it's
for other things.
other things too. Yeah.
Yeah. Uh,
Oh goodness. Mick Laris in the chat said, if you need help with web, hit me up. I might be doing that at some point.
I'll be in your DMs.
Ooh, well, that's steamy. Man, this is turning into an exciting Friday. We should probably move on before we sink this ship. Panos, would you like to give an introduction for your talk here in a moment?
Yes, you can go to the toilet if you want. That's the right time.
Oh, okay.
Back in 20 minutes.
You can listen to my talk later on the toilet because it's about shitty, crappy printers. Yeah, we can swear, but I prefer not to.
Later, do you allow swearing?
I'll let legal answer this. Okay.
Okay.
I take
Okay,
no
legal,
position
send us a
on swearing
message
or
if
not.
you allow swearing on the
Okay.
stream.
We could be
Legal
PG-13.
will brief you.
We could be
Okay.
PG-13.
Did you
get
just
one
give
swear
every
word.
lawyer's favorite phrase as the answer? It depends. What?
We could be PG-13. You get one swear word.
Okay, I'm
Oh,
keeping
well.
mine.
Choose a
I think
wisely.
Fearless Leader gets it. Awesome. Well, we should probably move on to our next talk, given by the one, the only, our community manager, Pan. What are you doing? You trying to pan this?
Yeah, this is my talk now.
else?
So yeah, let's we're gonna get into this, and it's how you speedrun anything on Hack the Box. Sometimes you'll fail at it, sometimes you'll do really well. Don't get discouraged, don't get imposter syndrome, and I actually have no idea what the talk is about because I didn't have the opportunity to watch it yet.
You're doing good. Okay.
I'm good. All right, cool.
Well, you heard it here first. I'm gonna go ahead and switch us over to that talk before I have trouble breathing from laughing over here. Awesome. Well, let's go ahead and move into that talk, and I'll see y'all in just a bit.
Hi everyone, this is Panos from Hack the Box, and in this video I will try to solve as many very easy challenges as I can from last year's Cyber Apocalypse CTF in 20 minutes. The reason we do this is that we have noticed that for a lot of people Cyber Apocalypse is their first CTF, and just in case that tomorrow is going to be your first CTF, I want you to have a look at as many very easy challenges as you can beforehand. I hope this will help you, and I hope if you know how to solve them, this will encourage you, because a lot of times starting a new hobby or going into CTF can be an intimidating procedure. So without losing any more time, let's start. So this is the first challenge. I think the name of it was Trapped Source, and the name can be a hint. But let's go. The only thing that we have for this web challenge is this web application. We cannot type in this. We can try to guess the password if you are feeling lucky. But this is not going to be very efficient. And you can try to do various web stuff, like try to find, for example, if there is an admin panel. But it doesn't make sense to be one. Since this is a logpad. So we can try to have a look at the page source to see if we find any useful information. And immediately we see there is a script blocked, a script block which has the model name of the padlock, the model name, and the pin. So I think it was, I forgot already, 9646. Yes, and this is the flag. So I think, in my opinion, that was the easiest challenge from last year. It was something to get everyone feeling ready and feeling good. So what's the reason behind creating a challenge with the flag on the, well, it's not exactly the flag, but it's a password on on the source code, will this ever be the case? I don't think this was ever the case. I don't think at some point somebody wrote an application even in the 80s and wrote the password as part of the code, but always I may be wrong. I think the point behind this was to give you the hint, as the flag implies, to view the client source, because reading the JavaScript a lot of times can help you understand how it works. But there is no reason to waste any more time on this. We are 3 minutes in, and let's move to the next challenge. The next challenges are going to be more challenging than this one. So let's see. This is the other challenge. I think the name for it was Gunhead. Yes. And it had this web application, but you could also download some files. Let's have a look at the web application before we look at the files. It seems to be some control monitor of a robot. It has 3 buttons. This button move this interface. We have this hard button that shows the robot's needs, and we have a command prompt. So we can try immediately to see if we can run commands on it. We can try to do ls, but that syntax doesn't work. But we can try to use /help to get the available commands. We can try to do that. Okay, clears the command prompt. Okay, not very useful. Storage, checks the storage. Let's do it very quickly. Okay, nothing useful here, unless you are a mechanic of the robot. And we can try to use the ping, and this seems immediately interesting, because the other things, you can only have certain things on them, but for ping you can also provide an argument. So we can discuss this a little bit down the road, but we can try to see if the ping command works. And yeah, it seems to work. It returns back the data. Oh, by the way, if you ever wonder why everybody tries to ping 4 8s, it's because 8.8.8 it's the DNS from Google. So we can try to do some things already, but since we have the application code for this application, we can try to have a look at it, so we can be more precise and not do random things. So if you ever download the files and you ever find the file called flag.txt, don't get fooled by it. The reason for it is either if you want to run this to run the web application locally on your machine, and maybe it is like a pawn challenge and it can help. And other than that, it can tell you the location of the flag file. So let's say you get command execution, you don't have to search all over the place for it. You can just go on the correct location. So this is a cell file, a Docker file. This is probably not it. Config can be interesting, but this is the configuration of Nginx. This is the server, a supervisor, likely not it. So let's go to the challenge folder itself, and it has some PHP files, so let's have a look. So just by going up and down, nothing pops up in this, at least to me. Let's go have a look at index. Okay, there seems to be an API that receives post request for probably the ping command. And we see also recon controller here. Okay, more interesting than the previous one, but not too much. Static always contains the CSS and stuff like that. The controller seems interesting. We saw recon controller before. So this is the ping function. Nothing pops up. Maybe if something pops up is that They do not do any sanitization. They don't check for the value that you provide, but we are not sure yet. Maybe they do it in another part of the application, so we can keep on going. Okay, and this is the interesting file. This is what we were searching for. So we also have a comment which is here to act also as a hint. So we see that the web application runs a command set exec. This command runs the argument, the command that you provide as an argument on the host machine, on the operating system. So if you run, like, for example, a Debian server with this web application, this, whatever you provide in this function, will run on the Debian server. So in case you didn't notice, the guys that created this also added this hint. So this is a developer asking, do I need to sanitize user input before passing it to selexec? And the answer to that is yes. You don't have to type it, of course. So the other thing that you may not know is what sanitize user input means. So whenever you are creating an application, you have to be very wary of and every time you request a user to provide any info. So the best case scenario is they provide something because they did a mistake and the application breaks. And the worst case scenario is they are an attacker and they are utilizing this to take control of the application or whatever. So what would the user sanitization means? For example, in this case, you should provide an IP, right? So the only thing that should be acceptable was numbers and dots. And you can be even more precise, like 4 numbers and 3 dots. And you can be even more precise, like the number value should be from 0 to 255. But okay, the information that we got is that whatever we provide after the ping gets run on as part of a set exec command. So we can try to keep adding on this and then to create what is called an one-liner. And one-liner is multiple commands in one line, nothing too special about it. So how to terminate this command? You have to enter a semicolon and you can keep adding a second command. For example, we can try to do ls once more. And we see that, okay, ping run, but also our command ls run. So what could this be? We already saw that means we are here. It is the same file structure. So if we want to find the flag, we know that it's on the parent folder and it's called flag.txt. So we can run the same command, but instead of ls we should cut. We can try to write everything from the beginning, or you can use the double dot, which means the parent folder, and cut the flag. Let's try to run. And this is the tip, which also serves as an answer to the developer previously on the comment. Whenever you have user input in your application, you should treat it very carefully. I think this challenge was a little bit harder than before. I mean, of course it was, but still not that hard. So let's keep on moving forward. Let's go to application number 3. This is the final, very easy web application, and it was called D-Robots. I'm pretty sure it was not called Dr. Obots, but yeah. So this is a login screen. You can always try to guess. But okay, it would be kinda lame if it was a challenge that you just have to guess, like to use admin as the password. You can try to find other stuff, but this application, as the previous one, also had some downloadable files. So let's go and check those out. The name is. Should I call it Dr. Robots just to piss people off? Okay. We see the location of the flag file. Don't be fooled. Let's go to the challenge. This doesn't help us. Let's go to the application. So we have a lot of files to check. Let's start with the database. Okay, and immediately we fell onto something very interesting. So what this is, once again, it has a comment for you to notice it. So if it is like a harder difficulty challenge, you will not find comments as this one, but this is to guide you. So this says we should update our code base and use techniques like parameterization to avoid SQL injection. Yes, that is correct. So what does that mean? It appears to be that the developers of this login page know that the login page is vulnerable to SQL injection. So let's take a look at this specific, I will copy it, part of SQL code. So, but let's see what it does. In case this thing returns true, it creates a token. It creates a session token for the user, and the user can log into the application. Otherwise, it returns false. So what we need to do is we need to perform an SQL injection where we take this thing and give a value that always returns true. So let's see. So in case this is your first time that you see SQL code, what that means, select essentially it's like search for. So what says like search for a password in the table that has all the users, the table with the name users, and return a password where the username is equal to the username that is provided by the user, the web application user, and the password is the same as the provided password. So let's say we want this to always return true. What would we do? Would we do like a correct username? And then we would, what we usually do, it's like we try to close this quotation mark by adding another quotation mark. And you want to comment out the rest of the command. So if it was like, for example, Java, maybe you do this. But the syntax for SQL comments is this one. So what we don't know is the username, but we can always make a guess that admin is a possible username. And this could be, since this existed before, this could be the payload. Sometimes you would see that they are entering a random password, and after that they add something that's always true. That could be like or 0 equals 0, for example. But this should work in this context, so let's try and copy paste it. It doesn't work, so let's have a better look at the application. Let's see if it has anything. It has blueprints, it has routes, and probably this is why it didn't work. So it gets the data from username and from the password field, and here it says if the user does not provide the username or does not provide the password, to not proceed. So that was possibly the reason, but we can keep having a look. So no, we do not need this. This is the HTML. Let's see this one. Nothing interesting. And here we have a username and a password. So you may try to copy and paste this, but you will see that it will not work. And why it will not work? This is a MySQL user. So this is not a web application user. This is just a user that creates the database or uses the database. So if you were doing a pen test, that could be interesting, because if this was an example, a full PON machine or a server that you could see multiple ports and you could connect to the database, for sure you could use this user to connect to the database. So it's not useless in general, that this could be huge in a pen testing environment, but right now we cannot do anything with it. So what we learned is that we have to have something here as well for it to play, and it does. So if you see the feeds here, one of them is the flag. So why is the flag here? Because it is here to represent that you got the access and to remind you that parameterization is important. But we are getting close to 20 minutes, so we have to be quick on the next ones. Maybe I will go to 30 minutes, okay. I'm talking too long, I guess. So we are over with the web stuff. So let's try to do like a mini introduction to the other categories. Okay, this is the quickest thing that I can do. So this is a reversing challenge. So if you go to the Hack the Box website, you can just download it. So where is it? There it is. So we can just start the terminal here, and we can see that it is an application and you are able to run it. This is the executable file, the executable thing here. Let's try to run it to see if it does anything. Okay, it doesn't seem to do anything useful. One of the things that you can do when you find an executable is to try to run the command strings. What it does is it searches for strings inside the executable. So you can find various stuff like variables or variable names, function names. You can find libraries that the application uses that may help you. And in general, it is a very useful command, and a beginner should know about it. So that's why this very easy challenge was created, for people to get the easiest flag of their reversing career, I guess. 20 minutes, okay. But let's do a crypto challenge as well, and we will finish after that. So the crypto challenge name is Ancient Encodings, and that was the case with the reversing challenge. There is not online part, only downloadables. And this was not part of it. I can delete it, I guess. I will leave it in case I do something wrong. So we have a source that creates the crypto text. How do you call it? And we have the output. So this is the encoded text, and we want to decode it. So let's have a look at that code. So this used to have the original flag, and it used to use the function encode on the flag and write everything on the output txt. So what we have here is the flag but encoded. So what is this encoded? So we should start from the end. So it takes the message, in this case the flag, it base64 encodes it, then turns it from bytes to long for the hex function to work, and then turns it to hex again. So let's try to write an application, a script that does the opposite. Let's see how many mistakes I can make. Okay, we will need this, but first of all, we do not need base64 encode, we need base64 decode. And okay, I'm not familiar with this library, but since there is something that is called bytes to long, I'm pretty sure that there is something called long to bytes. And let's hope this thing exists. Let's take this thing, which is the crypto text. Let's name it encoded. How many time do I have? Okay, I have time. What's this? Okay. And we need to add this because we want to treat it as a string. So right now we need to do the opposite thing. So let's name it whatever, flag. So the flag is the last thing in this. So it is B64 decode. We have to count this later. Then we have to use the function that we made the assumption that exists, but we could also Google. And then we want to give the encoded value there, and we want to treat it as a long number. We need to add the val function that does that. So we call it encoded. So we close 1, we close 2, we close 3, and I think that should be it. And then we can try to print it. And this is Python 3, so I have to use this. The chances to run, I think, are okay. Whatever. Let's call it solution number 2. No. So let's see if this can work. Yep, there it is. So what the main takeaway from this challenge is that if you ever become a security expert and you have to deal with other people, what you will constantly have to tell them is that encoding is not encryption. I think that's the main point of this application. Encoding, it's something that it's made to be reversed and go encoded and decoded all the time. It's not something to hide something. It is meant for you to be able to transmit it. For example, URL encoding is because you cannot have every character on the URL. We created URL encoded, so you should never treat encoding as decoding, as encryption. And as the flag says, in your journey you will see these encodings everywhere, especially base64. If this is the first time you see this, be prepared, because you will see this a lot. Because every time you will see a number and it has a double equal sign in the end, you will be able to identified. So I think I will stop here. I'm at 27 minutes. I hope this was not boring for those of you that knew how to solve this, and for those of you that did not know how to solve this, I guess this should be encouraging, and we will have more easy challenges like this tomorrow. And yeah, have fun. Um, yeah, that's it. Okay, guys, bye.
Hey everyone, welcome back. We have some new faces on the couch. Hey Stella and Orestes, I realize I just kind of introduced you. Real quick, awesome talk, Panos. Great job with that. That's an awesome talk to follow along with after the fact on YouTube too.
If you didn't know how last minute that was, my packed suitcase was visible the whole time behind me. I don't know if anyone noticed.
Yeah, in case anyone hadn't caught this, our Greek team is a little jet lagged right now. It's been a week. Awesome. Speaking of our Greek team, Panos, Stella, and Orestes, do you guys want to go ahead? Actually, I guess, Panos, you've been on a couple times before, but Stella and Orestes, could you go ahead and introduce yourselves?
Sure. So, hi everyone. I am Stella. I'm the senior community specialist at Hack the Box. And long story short, I'm working on the meetups and on all of the fun events that we attend globally.
Meetups, mommy. They are.
Awesome. Orestes, did you want to go ahead and introduce yourself? Talk about a little bit of what you're doing there.
Of course. I'm Orestes. I'm a community associate here at Hack the Box. We work with Stella for our meetups. In case you don't know, there are local gatherings where our community can solve boxes and use our dedicated labs for free. We are across the world. We have right now 74 going to 75, 76, if I remember correctly. Yep, we're growing. We're growing. So in case you want to check out if there is a meetup group near your area, you can do it. You can do it by searching on meetup.com. We are there. Hack the Box. You'll probably find something near. But even if you don't, most of them are online, so you can attend online. You don't have to be physically there.
Heck yeah. No, that's a great point, especially pointing out the online aspect. Orestes, Panos, did I cut you guys off?
No. I think there were some questions about meetups in your area that some people at the chat complained that they do not have a meetup group in their area. I think I saw the names New Zealand and Switzerland, if I remember correctly. So the first thing I can say to these guys is they can be the host for the meetup themselves. But this is a nice opportunity to talk with you guys to say, I mean, I would be intimidated to become a meetup host if I didn't know somebody already, right? So if you get an application about a meetup host, what is the things that you look for? What is the things that you do you consider like their skill, their determination?
Yeah. So, first of all, the first thing that we say is if they are passionate enough with Hack the Box. We want people passionate, not only for Hack the Box, for cybersecurity. We want skilled people, or even not only professionals. We are also aligning with university students, as we are also launching the Hack the Box meetups for universities program. Of course, we want them to be active on the platform, and yeah, pretty much that's it. That's what we are
Awesome.
looking for. Yeah.
Well, and it's straightforward. A lot of folks like to think that there's, more to it for starting a meetup, and it's really just not the case. On that note, the Discord, one thing I'd wanted to mention, we do have a Discord chat that is for meetups. If you are interested in learning more about meetups, or maybe figuring out how things work, definitely pop in there. On the note, I saw this actually come up in chat. It is International Women's Day. Stella, did you want to touch on that at all? I realize I'm putting you on the spot.
Happy Women's Day, I guess.
Woo! There we go. Awesome stuff. as always, we have some awesome talks coming up here in just a little bit. Our next talk is going to be the printers talk. That one has been moved up just to shift things around for the sake of who we have on the couch. But yeah, no, awesome stuff. Did you guys have any thoughts on, I guess, either the printers talk that's coming up or the talk that we just saw from Panos?
I have something to say. I want to say which is my favorite bread, and it is brioche. In case everyone was wondering about that.
Oh, the bread memes are coming back. I had a feeling it was going to happen with this live stream. It's really a matter of when, if, not if.
No one has mentioned it until now, so I guess that was the moment. So I would like to take a moment to say something about the Hack the Box meetups for universities, because we get many questions from university students. So yes, if you are a university student, you can become a meetup host. We meetup hosts for universities are actually local gatherings hosted either online or on site from university students, professors, or university cybersecurity clubs. You will gain free access to the dedicated labs, where you can find the same content as on the main platform, apart from the challenges. And of course, you can get swag, you can get vouchers for free, which is very exciting.
Heck yeah. No, awesome stuff. Go ahead, Orestes.
Yeah, and also we have to say for the cyber apocalypse, we have meetup groups participating. Feel free to take a look. We'll probably share them. Will we share them the names, the ones that we have? We'll probably do, so that they're doing an excellent job. They're preparing their own team. They've gathered the hosts. Have gathered their members, asking them who wants to join. It's not about winning per se. They can also be beginners and have their first experience in a CTF. They are more than welcome to do so. Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, definitely check it out. If you have questions about meetups, don't be afraid to reach out to us. Our email is that's meetups@hackthebox.eu, correct?
Yep.
Absolutely. Awesome. Well, I think we're going to go ahead and move into our next talk. Thank you so much, Panos, Orestes, and Stella for joining me on the couch. We're going to go ahead and move into the next talk, which is Printers, A Brief History of Awful. And yeah, it's a talk. Hey everyone, welcome back to the Cyber Apocalypse live stream. If you're watching this after the fact on YouTube, thank you so much for tuning in. As always, I'm Dark, your wonderful host, aka John, I guess. And today I'm here to talk to you about everybody's favorite topic. Let me get my timer going. Everybody's favorite topic, printers. I know that you're probably thinking this and saying to yourself, John, I like to daydream about these. I like to think about them when I sleep. And I know, this talk is for you. Continuing on, this is a stereotypical slide, but I couldn't not have it. Let's talk really quickly about what printers are. So printers, as defined by the Oxford Dictionary, as defined by Google, is a person whose job or business is commercial printing, not the kind of printers we're talking about, or a machine for printing text or pictures onto paper, especially one that is linked to a computer. That's super helpful. And in case you didn't know how to pronounce the word printer, there you go. You can't click on that, but you can read the phonetics. Continuing on, okay, this is the point of the talk. Printers suck, but how did we actually get here? It's been a winding journey. We've certainly seen a lot of printers. You can see quite a few here, even going back to the printing press. And we've just somehow ended up in this pile of sewage, and that's where we're at. So let's talk about exactly how that happened. Let's talk about first how it started. And how it started is with teleprinters. This is a cool picture of an old teleprinter. This one's from Creed & Company, the teleprinter number 9. This one's from 1930, and you can see that these are pretty sizable machines. Continuing on, let's talk about the Teletype Corporation. So, the Teletype Corporation was founded in 1930 as a branch of Western Electric. It was primarily a research and development arm, so really they're not making products. They're there to research, kind of in a similar position to Bell Labs. In this case, they are very well known actually for something they did end up creating or producing a lot of the teletype or the teleprinter, teletyper. This is just something that is kind of a precursor to the modern fax machine, where you know how a fax machine does this over phone lines and then the internet in some cases. This also uses a modem or telephone lines and essentially replaced what we were doing previously, which was Morse code or some variations on that, other different codes that could be used to send across a wire. So this was a huge step up. And you can see, as we saw in the last picture, these machines are not small. There's a lot going on, and you can see that they have a lot of them in one room. Probably a pretty hot room, just considering that those are a lot of big machines. Continuing on, teleprinters gave us some really cool stuff. And in fact, some of the first ASCII art was done with teleprinters. So here you can see that we have just a generic early ASCII art representation on the left. And then the right, you can see that is JFK in ASCII art. So very cool. This is kind of the, what we would have had come before modern ASCII text. In the case of that one on the right, you can see that looks like that one has been modified, and who knows what's actually going on there, but very cool examples, and this is really where ASCII text came from. Now, teleprinters were really the start of something awful, but they didn't really lead directly into the modern printer. It was just something that was using existing technology in the form of these phone lines that we were already using for Morse code and, well, phone calls. Really, when we started getting to printers with the next step, and the next step was this patent you can see on the right. The first patent released, or related to printing rather, was registered in 1962 by, again, the Teletype Corporation. So you can see that that's their patent, and specifically this was filed by C.R. Winston, so he's to blame for all this. I'm sure he's still around and kicking. I wouldn't be surprised if he is, so hopefully he's not watching this talk, but you have him to blame. Yeah, you can see the actual patent itself on the right, and this is just a very generic patent that is demonstrating some sort of method for transferring ink onto a moving ream of paper. You can see in this case, it looks like they were using even phone ticker tape, which you would use for Morse code and other similar communication methods, so very much fits with the technology of the time. Now, that led into the first modern atrocity. This was our the first actual mechanical printer. You have Epson to blame for this one, which is ironic because they make pretty nice printers nowadays. This is the EP101, and I have a better picture of it on the next slide, but we needed our soy jack beam in here. So this was originally created by the Japanese company Epson in 1968, so printers have been around for a little while. Just a hot minute. Historians have noted this as the start of the end times, so take that as you will. Continuing on, here's a couple more pictures of that printer. Very cool. You can see the individual print rows here on the right with the lettering so that they wouldn't have to move the spool over or reposition where you're actually typing. And that's going to be a theme with these early printers, is that you can see that really the moving parts come from this ink. That's your ink ribbon right there. But a couple pictures of that. Fun fact, this thing is pretty tiny, as you might be able to tell from the pictures. These are in European units because this came from Japan, but I do have some freedom units here at the end. This is 164 millimeters in width, 102 millimeters tall, and then 135 millimeters in depth. It weighed just over 2.5 kilograms, and in freedom units, that's 5.5 pounds. So not a small, well, a small device, but definitely not a light device. Still pretty impressive for, an early attempt at the modern printer. Now, we've talked about where printers came from. Let's talk about the different types of printers that we see in the modern world. First and foremost, we have laser printers. This is something that a lot of people probably have interacted with. From Wikipedia, you can see that Here, let me read the actual Wikipedia quote. A laser beam projects an image of the page to be printed onto the electrically charged photoconductive rotating cylindrical drum. That's a mouthful and probably got on my Scrabble points for the week. But you can see that essentially we are magnetizing small parts of the drum that we're pulling this powdered ink onto. This would be a very similar process to like interacting with ferro or ferrite, I guess, like magnetic bits that you'd find in sand, and seeing where it would stick to different parts of this that was magnetized. So you can see that this just used magnetism and light in this case. And well, this didn't use any normal kind of ink, it used toner. And because toner's so misunderstood, let's take a quick detour and just talk about this. I personally didn't really understand what toner was before this talk, but now I do. Toner is just powdered ink, usually held in a cartridge. And you can see a couple examples of this. The bottom left is an HP cartridge, something that you'd find in a modern office printer. It's just an ink cartridge. So if someone says that they're using toner or it's running low on toner, it's just another word for ink, really. A lot of times this is just powdered, and it's when you see these explode, you'll see how the powdered ink can end up just flying out of this. Definitely recommend looking that up. Continuing on, we also have liquid inkjet printers. This is your printers that would use little dots to form the image. You can see an example of a modern cartridge there on the right. One of the banes of, I guess, every IT individual's existence. And you can see kind of a test page in the bottom left. Here's a couple more pictures of how inkjet printers actually function. You can see on the right that is an inkjet nozzle, just a cutaway of an inkjet nozzle. And you can see that this comes down to a very fine point because we're ultimately looking to deposit just very small ink dots, which you can see on the left. Those ink dots, it's something that those ultimately are going to make up the picture overall. And you can have these little dots that are very easy to produce in these small amounts. The best way to put this is that we're trying to build a picture by its parts, and this is just another way to build it by its parts. Continuing on, this is my personal favorite printing process. I know, printing nerds, right? You can see that, I guess we're looking at the total picture up there in the top left, but this is dye sublimation printers. This refers to another way that we can print an image by its parts. In this case, we have it split up into the red, yellow, and blue colors that you would see within this. And white really just comes from, not having ink in that case. This is a broad category, but generally refers to using heat to transfer dye from some sort of substrate, which we'll take a look at those in just a moment. That's your printing cartridge, onto some sort of piece of paper. You can see in this case, this is a little bit more of traditional photography printing. This is very common to use when you want pretty vibrant prints. One thing to note here is kind of an interesting quirk of this kind of printing. These individual ink pieces, these can't be reused, these ink pads. We'll take a look actually at the next slide, where you can see that we have a cartridge that is made up of the sheets running in sequence. These individual sheets are essentially, we pull one of the colors from it, rotate that to the next one, and form the full image through 3 of these. And that just repeats until the cartridge runs out. So you can see how this creates a lot of waste. It's not necessarily the most efficient kind of printing. Moving on, we also have solid ink printers with your favorite yummy looking carcinogens there on the right. These are also known as phase change ink printers or hot melt ink printers. Really, we have essentially a waxy block of ink that we are melting little tiny bits of it. And this is actually a pretty popular style of printing just because you get a very, very good image. The waxiness holds a lot of color, and ultimately this is used a lot for high production printing and what you would see for like banners and other things like that. If it has a glossy surface, either that's a finish that's then applied to the outside, or it might be just the style of printing being solid ink printing. In this case, so we're using hot melt ink. This is often used, as I mentioned, in graphics. Make sure I covered everything. These just generally look more vivid and they look extra tasty. Moving on, we have thermal printers. This is probably the most common type of printer just because it has less, it's not as complicated. Really, we're taking the ink out of the picture with this and just relying on thermal paper. So thermal paper is paper that reacts under a heat to form black or varying shades of gray. This is how you can have one row that you change the heat on, which we'll see in just a moment, and make pretty complex pictures. They don't always look that great, which is really why this ends up being used for commodity things such as ATMs, it's gas stations, things like that. The reason for that is just, again, because they're simple. You're changing out a roll, you're not changing out ink cartridges. Here's that picture that I mentioned. We're taking a look at that print head. So on the right there, you can see the actual print head that's been pulled out of one of these thermal printers, where you can see that this bar right here, that is actually where the heat is going to be applied, that very tip right there. So this is going to be what prints the image. This is super hot. Don't touch these if they're running. And you can see a good example of an older style ink thermal printer rather on the left. Continuing on, let's talk about what can go wrong with printers. We've talked about the types. Let's talk about the vulnerabilities. So first and foremost, we have our classic, the defaults. Default passwords, very common. It's the same as having any other IoT device on your network. Ultimately, you need to be responsible for the passwords. You need to make sure that it's not the default password that is showing up. If your password is password, I'll be having a word with your manager. Please don't use password for this. One other default option that I like to include here is the raw port, and I have a story for this one. The raw port is port 9100, so 9100 rather. This is often known as raw printing, JetDirect, AppSocket, or PDL data stream. Be really careful scanning these. I've scanned one of these once, and, well, it says JetDirect or raw printing. You may think that, oh, that's just a data stream port for the printer. Well, it is. Whatever you send to that, a lot of printers will just spit that out. And I had the unfortunate situation when I worked at a managed security provider that we had a little bit of time during the day. So we decided to start scanning the network. We had authorization from our boss. We were just looking at everything that's on the network, making sure that we understood something. I think that there was one device that we were trying to track down, and it just led to this whole mess where I started running naively an mmap scan across the entire company network. Not a very big company, mind you, so pretty realistic scan size. But I included the printer in there, and you don't want to do that because anything that's sent to this raw port is just going to print. And Nmap sends a lot of garbage. It's trying to figure out what that port is. And as it turns out, you end up wasting a whole ream of paper printing out Nmap port querying and other random garbage. So don't do like John did. Don't scan raw printer ports. You can do this at home and kill the scan immediately, I guess. But yeah, maybe don't do that. Continuing on, so defaults are a big issue, but as you know, many things in life, what you don't know can hurt you. Lack of admin knowledge. A lot of people think that it's just a printer. What do I need to do with it? It's simple. No, printers are monsters. In case you haven't learned, if you haven't learned anything from this talk, it's that printers are freaking complicated and probably overcomplicated. You need to read the manual on these things. For example, did you know a lot of printers save print jobs locally? A lot of corporate printers will have a hard drive in there that, lo and behold, has all of the sensitive documents that were printed on it, and that can be a source of PII exposure. If you're scanning that and maybe find an open data port or get admin access to a printer, you can probably get some pretty fun stuff out of it. So you really can't take these for granted. They are, important devices, and you do need to read the manual for these. Outdated installations. So we talked a little bit about, it's just a printer. What can be so bad about it? It can be outdated, like any other computer on your network. Modern printers are computers, printers run by computers, little microcontrollers there. And because of that, they have firmware and other software that runs on them that can be outdated. And every once in a while, a vendor will release a patch for the vulnerabilities. You need to keep an eye out for it, especially if you're in a corporate environment. Even with your home printer, it's worthwhile to make sure that you have the drivers installed just to make sure that it's checking for updates. And we'll get to that in just a moment. But again, you can't just take it for granted. It can't just be a printer. Insecure access. Sometimes it's not on the printer. Sometimes it's on your network access. unsecured network connections can lead to a lot of problems, and we'll take a look at a famous example of this here in a moment. This often comes internally from lack of VLANs or network segmentation. That often happens in a network where you have a lot of printers and things get printed to the wrong, device. You end up working in, HR, and maybe you send something you shouldn't, and it prints on the, the accounting printer. That's going to get you in a lot of trouble, and it's one of the benefits of making sure that you have access, or your users have access to the printers that they need to, and vice versa. You can go at this from the hacker perspective with an internal threat actor, that it's really important to make sure that you have this locked down, because maybe someone could get to all the printers on your network and not have the best intentions. Remote access, big concern. Insecure access, you need to use VPNs and other things for this. Make sure that it's locked down. If you don't have it locked down, you're just waiting for something bad to happen. Now, here's a very famous example of what has happened in the past with printer issues. This one comes from a hacker named the Hacker Giraffe. Back in, oh my goodness, I think 2018 or so, PewDiePie and another channel, T-Series, were battling it out for who was the biggest YouTube channel on the platform. Really big deal back then. And as part of all this, one of PewDiePie's fans kind of took it on himself to spread the word, but also do a little hacktivism, I guess. This involved looking on Shodan to see a bunch of unsecure printers, and not only sending out a warning that, hey, your printers, needs to be locked down, but also sending out the message that you need to help PewDiePie with all this. What he ended up doing was scripting out just a very simple method that would use all of these open printers that he found on Shodan, and it would send data to either the JetDirect or some other remote print management service that was unsecure. And as a result, he printed out lots of these. You can see on the left, this hit over 50,000 printers, and he did that pretty quickly. You can probably script this out using ChatGPT and be doing this within minutes. You shouldn't, because, you don't own these printers, but you can see how quickly someone who might not have the best intentions could start printing things on this or do other terrible things. We've talked about all the things that can go wrong. Let's just talk for a moment about the modern printer landscape. This is it. It's terrible. It's just awful. That on the left is the actual Google suggestions. Yay, it's not cut off on my head. On the left, this is what comes up if you search for printer troubleshooting. Why is my printer so bad? How do I fix poor printer quality? Is there actually a good printer? That last one really hits home. I almost feel like that's an existential crisis of, is there really a good printer out there? I really doubt it. Well, I have one that I like, but still. And you can see that the real bane of this existence is these cartridges. These things suck. There's no way around it. They suck, and we're going to talk about why they exist. Okay, so we talked about the modern printer landscape. That's all you need to know. It's just terrible. I mean, anyone that's used a printer, go buy your Black Friday special. It's going to break in under a year. It's just terrible. And let's talk about, really now, the important part, why that is. First and foremost, this is a big point that I try to keep in mind, and when I used to work at Geek Squad, this is something that, would come up a lot with people trying to bring their printers in. By the way, I don't fix printers. I didn't fix printers when I was at Geek Squad. I don't fix them now. You can see one of the big concerns here is this idea of mechanical versus digital. Mechanical parts fail. They fail over time. You get a lot of physical wear and tear, and printers are mechanical just by the nature of what they are. We've gotten kind of used to not having to deal with as much mechanical in our tech, just because a lot of things have moved to solid state drives, and other devices don't have, large moving parts. Really, the wear and tear on those comes from, use over time and the flow of electricity and electrons through the devices. So first and foremost, we need to consider that mechanical parts fail. A lot of times people aren't taking care of their printers. There's probably a little sponge or something that cleans off your print head. Most people don't ever check that or even bother to make sure that their printer's, not stretched out, like the rubber, the mechanical bands inside of it and other things, aren't broken. And that can happen, and they're cheap. Printers are just made to be cheap. So we talked a little bit about drivers. We're going to get to the actual cheapness here in a moment, but really the second problem that comes from this is a poor user experience. that is from a number of factors. First and foremost, compatibility. A lot of people aren't running the latest and greatest of computers, and a new printer might not run on their system. It might not run out of the box, too. You might need to install the software, and you probably should. Additionally, you can have corruption. This is just something that happens with anything. I'd put this on there just because, it happens. It's part of the problem. Installation errors. You need to make sure that the printer actually installed correctly. Sometimes this is the case. We'll move on here. Outdated drivers and print spooler errors. We'll talk about the spooler in just a moment, but drivers, they don't always necessarily install correctly. And it's something you need to keep an eye out for just because it's one of the biggest things that can go wrong with any modern printer. When we're looking at this, one other thing that we need to consider is that have we as the tech industry done a good job teaching users about drivers? And I would argue probably not. Most people don't understand what the purpose of a driver is, and it's really just to, facilitate that functionality. We could probably be a little bit better about communicating that and saying what's going on during the install process. But, maybe that's just something for us to consider as an industry moving forward. Then planned obsolescence. I told you we were going to talk about printers being cheap crap, and here it is. Planned obsolescence and ink sales. Printers are a loss leader. They're made to be cheap. The point of them is to be made as cheaply as possible so that they last for long enough that you have cartridges left over and go buy another one. Your cartridges, they might last longer than your printer. They might not. Depends on how much you're printing, but they're made to be cheap. And a lot of times when I would have folks come in looking to have a printer fixed, I would just say, you are better off buying a new printer because it's going to cost more than the printer's worth to get it fixed. These parts are made of plastic. They're just not made well, and it's intentional. Ink is the real moneymaker. Again, I mentioned cartridges. Ink subscriptions are a big thing in the modern, day and age of printers. HP's particularly awful about this. And this is something that I see this pop up a lot, but I think it's something that's very important to keep in mind when we're talking about printers and how blown out proportion these things have gotten. Ink is ridiculous. Ink is stupid expensive. It is, end quote. You can see that the article where this is from in the bottom, so feel free to check me on this. Ink is a substance that's more expensive than vintage champagne and even human blood. Just let that sink in for a moment. That's nuts. I mean, could you imagine buying something, at Best Buy that's more expensive per, just cubic or I guess gallon or whatever, than your blood? Why? We can make more ink. What? Anyhow, that's where we're at. Going further, I don't know why you'd want to go further, but I guess you can. Here's a couple more resources in case you want to learn more about printers. That book on the right is what inspired this talk, and it's not good. It's funny, but it's not good. I'd recommend if you can get it from your library, read it then, but kind of funny. It rates things out of Cthulhu's and Dahmer's and other things, like how good the printers are, but yeah. If you want to learn more about this, seriously, just go buy a 3D printer. Don't bother with a normal printer. They're not good. If you want to tinker around with these things and learn more about how they work, you'll get the same amount of pain and probably greater satisfaction from a 3D printer. But yeah, that about does it for this talk. If you have any more questions, if you want to see a fax machine beat up, I guess that's on screen right now, but feel free to reach out. Yeah, thanks everybody for tuning in, and I'll go ahead and hand it back to Live John and the couch. Thanks, everyone. Oh, thanks for recording, John. It's almost like I was ready for that. Let's go ahead and bring out our couch. Hi, couch.
Hey.
Hey.
Hi. Oh, we're mixing it up. Oh, let's see. We have Emma, who is a new face on the couch. Emma, do you want to go ahead and introduce yourself? You've been behind the camera, behind the scenes helping me run this.
Yes, I have. Emma here, community operations specialist, I think title is, but I deal with Discord events, bit of everything. If you've been in the community at one point, you've probably seen me talking. But yeah, that's me. I do everything.
There you go. You heard it here first. Emma does everything.
Except fixing
Awesome.
printers. That I don't do. Do not come with your printers.
You're sure about that? Have any of you guys ever tried to fix a printer?
Yes, unsuccessfully. And
I was waiting for that.
and with a lot of anger, I have to say.
I've spent countless hours trying to fix printers. My previous job, I started as an IT support engineer, so My life was printers. I hate the very existence of them.
Oh my gosh. Well, really, that's the cherry on top of that talk.
Yeah.
Printers are great, right? Yeah. How do you guys feel about ink being more expensive than human blood and vintage champagne?
I mean, why would you buy ink when you can pay $12 a month to HP to get 20 pages a month? It's perfect. Printers as a service. It's the future. Next, we just need to put it on the blockchain. Then they're making the real money there.
Yeah, there you go. Printers 3.0. That sounds like a hellish nightmare. I feel like someone's going to make that happen at some point, and it's going to be awful. Chap, you want that printer for the office, right? Whenever that happens.
What printer?
If we get a Web 3.0, crypto-enabled printer.
Yeah, last thing I want is to use coins to print pages, and the price fluctuating like this. Some point costing me $1,000 to just print a single page, or $1,000 in transaction fees. No.
Yeah, that sounds about right. That would honestly, that's a pretty good image of what that product would end up looking like too.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of printers, I did dig out. I don't know if this is actually going to load. There we go. I went and dug this bad boy out. The picture in that talk is not of mine, but that's the only reliable printer I own.
How old is that?
Oh gosh, that's a good question. It still has the Nintendo support line on it.
Ooh.
I don't know. It's got the original roll on it still.
It's probably older than me.
Let's
What
figure out
happens
how.
if you call the number. If you call the support line, do they answer?
I'm pretty sure that still goes to Nintendo support. This is from 1998, so yeah, it's pretty old.
Older than me. Damn.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I had barely been born.
And were you trying to say that Chap and I are old? Is that what you're saying?
Uh-huh.
You trying to call us out?
No, I wouldn't do that.
Someone
Not
called us old.
exactly.
Uh-huh. Okay. I see you want to rest is ganging up on us. That's fine. I'll remember this. Remember this when it comes to DEF CON and someone's looking for water, or I don't know, carrying something heavy. We'll remember that. Awesome. Well, Emma, you have an awesome talk coming up. Do you want to talk a little bit about give us a preview of what that's going to be on?
Yeah, for sure. So, getting out of your parents' basement is important. I know some people have asked me what that means. It's you can be in your parents' basement if you want, but it's about why gaining a community is very important. Like going out, meeting people, that can be leaving the basement and going to like local conferences or meetups or whatever. But even if it's online, it can look different to you. But those soft skills that you build up interacting with people in the community is very, very important. And you need to learn it because you're never going to be working alone.
Mm-hmm.
So
that's what we
that's
are
the
trying to do in HTB with our meetups.
That is true.
It's a nice way to get out of your parents' basement, to get to know people. To maybe you'll make new friends. You for sure have common interest.
I think we
so
know how to
you
make
end up-
friends. That's a good one.
Yeah, so that's what we're trying to do, and there are some things that you don't know in hacking. So a person might be a mentor to you, so you will have all the support you may need, or even vacancies you may find out from networking through our meetups. So it's a nice way.
I mean, that's how I got into cyber. Was not I didn't have a Hack the Box meetup here in Iowa. I need to actually check and see if there is one. Honestly, that's Go ahead.
Right now we don't. But everyone here is more than welcome to submit and become a host.
There you go. I guess I have work in front of me. No, that's how I got into the cyber field in the first place. Was I went to one of my local meetups, and I think it was like Sec Iowa City or something, and I was there, and there's a segment that they would just talk about open jobs. Have any of you guys ever been to a meetup where they talk about just a job segment?
Sometimes they do. That's not always the case. But they don't have an open, presentation where they saw vacancies, but it happens, just while talking. That they're probably saying we were looking for an internship there. Apply. I will say something good for you. I will refer you, something like that.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the networking value of, getting out, meeting folks and going to those meetups really just can't be understated. I mean, Chap, I'm sure you've met many of people just, walking around at conferences, running into folks.
Yeah,
I mean,
obviously.
heck, that's how we met at DEF CON 2 years ago, right? Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Plus, I mean, all the people I've met through the years, through Hack the Box, it's amazing. And the knowledge you get to acquire from the networking and the network effect is much greater than reading any book or practicing alone.
Oh yeah, absolutely. You put that great in a really great way too. It's a different experience from reading, right?
Yeah,
Totally different.
Absolutely. Awesome. Well,
I think you acquire information a lot better from interacting with a human being rather than interacting with a book sometimes.
Oh yeah. I mean, you can ask questions. You can't ask questions to a book. I mean, you could, but you'd look crazy.
Well, you could ask questions to ChatGPT now. But
that's a
again,
good point.
It's not the same because it's also the chemistry, how the information is conveyed. If it's conveyed closer to your preference of hearing or reading information, it's all those things. You cannot make a human interaction.
Well, it's the composition of everything. It's almost more memorable because you have more than just reading it. You have so much more going on.
Yeah.
And also you get to understand, the value of cooperating with each other, which is also significant. Apart from your skills, it's also significant to know how to cooperate and work with one another. That's also a skill you can acquire while you interact with people.
Emma, do you have any thoughts on this? You're being awfully quiet over there in the corner. I'm going to put you on the spot.
I mean, yeah, as I said, books, even if it's like YouTube or live streams and stuff like that too, you don't get that same connection of going that back and forth, going through it together and diving into it, asking those questions, and that can really help grow your understanding of it. So, yeah. And how else could you find out what everyone's favorite bread is?
Just everyone in chat, if you want to put your favorite bread in chat, just no reason. You can also put your passwords in chat. That's cool too. Mother's maiden name. I'm taking notes over here, just making sure that I have activities for the rest of the day. Awesome. I think I've left my couch speechless. You guys don't approve of me collecting credit card information? Okay, keep that in mind. That's fine. You don't get any. Awesome. Nope. Well, here, go ahead.
No. I was just disagreeing that you're not gonna get any.
How do we end up here?
Hack the Box does not encourage this, though. I have to state that Hack the Box does not encourage this in any way.
Yes, thank you. We don't condone this. Please don't do this. Just
if
put
you
your
say your
bread in
passwords, it'll just censor it automatically, like Hunter 2.
Yeah, it'll totally work. Go ahead, don't give it a try out. We should probably move on to the talk before things spiral out even more than where we're at right now. But thank you, everyone. Thank you, My Couch, for joining me. We're going to go ahead and move into our next talk by Emma. Why staying in your parents' basement isn't the best way to become a hacker. Let's go ahead and get that started, and I'll see you guys in just a bit.
Hey everyone, it's Emma with Hack the Box here, one of our community coordinators. And I'll be talking about why staying in your basement doesn't make you a good hacker. There's so much more to hacking than just the hard skills. You can be an expert at Stego or Pwn or whatever your little niche may be, but no matter what, it's going to come down to soft skills. Because no matter what we do, we're going to be working in a team, we're going to be working in a company, and we're going to have to be producing reports, working with teammates. And this talk should hopefully give you some ways to meet people in your community, get yourself known, and that kind of stuff. So I guess why? These are kind of the three main points that I see for this. Connection, opportunity, and shared experiences and growth. And I will touch on all of these as we go through. Your community matters. Who you surround yourself with matters. There we go. Sorry about that. Whether this be, like an online group you have, a local hacker group, however this looks to you, while it may look different, it's still important to just not be isolated. No matter how you meet people, the connections that you make are going to help you as you. And there's many different ways for you to get involved with this, and these are a few common ones. They can look different, but a lot of cities very, very commonly B-sides. It's a local-ish event where it's like the B-sides branding, and then anyone who feels like it can start their own B-sides in their own town or city or wherever. And these tend to have a lot of people from your local community. And same with, Discord, CTF groups, however, maybe the team you're playing Cyber Apocalypse with. You can learn together, study together, compete together. And those are going to be really helpful, like especially B-sides. When you go there, you can meet people who are working in cybersecurity in your local community. And if someone there is working where you want to work, working the job you want to work, maybe they're recruiting for a company you want to work for, you can just talk to them and say, hey, what is your day actually like? Because when we hear pen testing, we think, okay, we're going to be hacking. But how that looks, what else is there besides hacking? Really depends on where you're going to be working. I mean, there's some things that will always be the same, like, report writing. You're never going to get away from that. But meeting people who do what you want to do and talking to them like that can really help you get a better picture of how you're going to be doing things if that is how you choose. Because who knows, maybe you want to be a pen tester, but then you get talking to people and you realize, oh, this isn't exactly what I thought it was or what I wanted to do. Maybe I want to go and do purple teaming or red teaming or something else in that field, and that can help you with that. As well, if you know people who are recruiting for roles, you can talk to them, even if you're still learning, you're not ready, but you could ask them like, hey, I see you guys hiring for this, whatever. Here's what I do. Here's what I know. What would you want to see from someone like me to bridge the gap from where I am today to a point where I would be someone you would consider hiring? And getting that feedback can really help, because you never really know what they're looking for. So talking to them can help, but this is obviously going to vary from company to company. Another large thing that you can do is get involved. Putting yourself out there, that passion, that giving a talk, volunteering, that can really help put yourself out there, because it shows you as someone who's passionate about what you're doing, who's willing to take the next step, go beyond, demonstrate your skills, help others learn. It can be really helpful. And, as I was touching on before, there's an opportunity that comes from this, If you're volunteering with someone, you meet people at conferences, and you keep talking with them afterwards, ask them for their email or Discord, whatever. If they're hiring, they might slide you a role that they're hiring for, they think you could be a good fit for, and refer you for that. This can really help too, because at that point, your name isn't just a resume, a cover letter. You have that already established relationship with where you're applying. and they can know that you're passionate, you're desiring to learn, because it's not always about what you know, it's about what they can teach you. This is a bit different when you're applying for more senior roles, of course, but for a junior or starting role, a lot of it is, you're not going to know a lot of things, but are you teachable? Are you coachable? Do you have the passion to take yourself to do more than what you know now? And having more than just your resume, a cover letter, or those really stressed out interviews, to demonstrate that, where it's just a casual something wherever outside of it, can really help. Especially if you don't do well in interviews. Because I know for a lot of people, myself included, those can be very, very stressful. So you might not show your true self when you're so stressed out about doing an interview. And as I said before, learning from those where you want to be. Learn the day to day, help you focus on those areas that you need for that. Just understand more about what you'd actually be doing, because you have the pen testing, report writing. How do they want those reports to look? Is it going to be internal, external? And how much freedom do you have? Are you going to be working with a team, or are you going to be working by yourself? And growth. When you meet people, especially if you're working on a CTF team with something like Cyber Apocalypse, or just people who you happen to chat with, it can really help to learn together. If you're working on a challenge as a team, you might not know everything. The people you're working on might not know everything, but together you might be able to piece together your guys' knowledge to solve a challenge. And then when you do that, oh, I should probably look at this because I didn't know this when this person did, and vice versa. So that way you can learn from each other and teach each other and share what you found useful, where you learned it, how you learned it, what works well for you, and to share experiences on what you've done in the industry. And another big one is competing against each other. Competition drives a lot of people. So it can be helpful, let's go work on a box together and come back in 2 hours and see who got the furthest or whatever, and talk about how you approached it, how you went through it, and compare, oh, they might have done something different than I did. Is there a reason? Why did they do that? And having that can really be helpful. You can get some of that out of, watching IPSEC, XDF, or some of the other talks here, where they will explain to you their thought process. But having people who are in a similar position to you, getting started, maybe a little bit more experience, but where you can talk to them and say, hey, this is what I was thinking. Here's how I approached it. And they can do the same and tell you how they approached it. It's a lot different because, that way you can have a conversation about it. You can ask them, well, I don't quite understand why you did it that way. Why do you approach things that way? And really help yourself understand the meaning of doing things, because a lot of infosec is patterns and learning to learn. Because you see a web app. Web apps are unique. Everyone's making their own web app and however they want to do it, but you're going to see a lot of those patterns of SQLi login forms being badly designed with that stuff, XSS. Those patterns are still going to apply, and building that knowledge can be very, very helpful to be able to do that. And lastly, you might be somewhere where there isn't much going on in cybersecurity. We're everywhere, but there's still going to be places where there isn't that community yet. And if you feel really passionate about it, one thing you can always do is start your own thing. There's no reason to say that you can't. I know we have our own meetups program where you can come to us and we will help you start your own meetup in your local area. That can be online with a broader area, or a physical area that you have. Or always, start your own B-sides, which is, that's a lot of undertaking, to be honest, but a local hacking group, go out, grab drinks every week, talk about what you're doing, get together on the weekends and hack the new box or go through the retired one together and just build up that local community, because I can assure you there's at least someone else in your area who's into cybersecurity, and they might not have that space. If you put that space out there for people in your local community to come together and do cybersecurity, they will come because there's a lot of people into it. They might just be curious about what it is, and you can help teach them what that is, or companies looking to hire people, etc. There's lots of opportunity for you to do things. Another thing as well is start a YouTube channel, start a Discord server. There's so many ways to build a community up around yourself so that you can talk with people can talk with each other, and build up those soft skills that you need, talk with people, because if you don't have those soft skills, you're going to be stuck in the basement forever. And there we go. Thank you for listening. I hope you enjoy the Cyber Apocalypse event. If you want to reach out to us, you can do so on the email on the screen or community@hackthebox.com. Our meetups program as well, if you're interested in hearing anything about that. And enjoy the event.
Hi again. I know. You've been missing me. No, that's fine. Let's get everybody back on the couch. There we go. Oh, look, we have Daff joining us too. Hey, awesome. Daff, real quick, do you want to take a moment to introduce yourself?
Sure. Hi, everyone. My name is...
Oh, no, Mike, hold on.
Oops,
So
sorry.
Yeah, no, I
first,
can hear you.
first time I'm joining a stream. I'm not the expert here. Hi, everyone. My name is Dav. I'm the marketing director for HTB. I joined a long time ago. I think it was December 2019. I'm very old. And it's so good to be here with you. There's so much effort behind events like this. The team here knows. And we really hope you're enjoying the hacking content, the visuals from our graphic design team. There's so much effort. So, we love it. So we hope you love it too.
Heck yeah. I'm so happy that you were able to join us with this. It worked out nicely. And, with this being your first time on the stream, I'm glad that we can give you and your team, credit for all the awesome and hard work that you guys do. I mean, Panos and Adam, I'm sure you guys have seen plenty of our graphic work. It's second to none.
Yeah,
It's
great
epic.
work. I mean, the whole plan is amazing most of the time.
If you've seen
this came out as passive aggressive, but I didn't want to be over the top.
You're just a down-to-earth person.
Yes.
Yeah.
you can thank the DAF's team for the challenge coins and the designs around them too. They played a huge pivotal role in the design.
Huge team effort between the two teams. And the hacking content team. Yeah.
Falcon and Daff, did you guys want to talk about those challenge coins quickly? Talk about, kind of what the purpose of those is and how those came to be?
All yours.
I could talk about challenge coins. I could let Daff go into, design process and things like that. But yeah, challenge coins, if you're not familiar, they're usually handed out. You'd see them pretty familiar or regularly with the military here in the States. I don't know if they're a thing, across in other countries, but here in the States, challenge coins are usually handed out for people who've carried out an operation or done something. And I guess, other spaces have kind of adopted creating challenge coins. So you'll see things like in the police force and other things. But generally, the way it usually would work is in the military. You're handed a coin if you partook in an operation. It'd have a certain number on it. There's an example of a challenge coin.
What operation did you partook to get this one?
This one is actually from DEF CON to this last year. This is from one of the guys that works at the Wall of Sheep. This is my NSA one from Homeland Security, rather. So yeah,
nice.
It's wild. But no, I just have it as an example of a challenge coin. This is my fiddle one on my desk.
Is this considered flexing?
Yes, it's
kind
of
flexing. But anyway, yeah. So the point of the challenge coins is you would slap down your coin on the table when someone walked in, and whoever had the lowest coin in terms of operation or number or whatever it would be, usually had to buy everyone a round of drinks. So if you had the highest coin, it looks great for you. You could say, or you had like a coin from a certain operation, usually you never had to buy anything, right? You're always exempt from buying buying drinks. But anyway, yeah, other spaces end up adopting challenge coins, the police forces, firefighters, us hackers, and yeah, so we went and decided to create new challenge coins for this season, Savage Lands, and Daph and her team were very helpful in designing that and helping us kind of bring that to anyone who will end up winning some of the challenge coins.
And it's just the beginning. Now that we saw the process, we want to explore more with coins, so stay tuned.
Absolutely. I'm really excited to see where we go with these. Challenge coins are, you can quote me on this, pretty cool. This is why it's dangerous just to let John run the stream, because
Would you mind discussing something regarding more Emma's talk?
Absolutely. Yeah,
Real
I
quick.
know we've talked a lot about meetups.
Real quick, Emma had reminded me that there's a challenge on the challenge coins. What now? Oh, just the
that's
the
it.
finger. Okay, that was it. All right, on to you.
Coming back to what Emma said, I wanted to, from my experience, it was always nice to meet people in person, because when you're about to hire somebody from your team, it's not like you're bidding the best basketball team, which we can't even discuss how basketball teams, the super teams, fail, right? And the teams that win are the ones with the best chemistry. And a lot of the times, because when you work with somebody, you're gonna talk with him or see him, especially before the COVID era, like 8 hours a day. So you would not necessarily go for the best skilled one, but I think from my experience, it was the most skilled one out of the ones that you would tolerate. And since we have like 2 guys here that have worked for big corporations, and we have somebody that had to interact with hackers while it had nothing to do with your personal
That's me.
life, I want to hear all your opinion on this topic. I mean, did you take into account when hiring somebody? Do you take into account his character, the chemistry that you have?
I certainly do. I am a strong believer that you can teach a person, or the person can upskill themselves on the hard skills if they want to. The soft skills is a huge part for me. It needs to be those personality traits that click and make sense for the team to work. As you said, it's all about chemistry.
Yeah, I could say from someone who works here and at another org, kind of just how everyone interacts with each other, having those soft skills are really important. Getting out of your basement, if we're kind of piggybacking off of what Emma was going on in her presentation or workshop there. Kind of just networking and developing further soft skills is really helpful, and it'll take you a long way. A lot of things that you can learn in our field, you can learn on the job or from other resources. So if you're kind of lacking those soft skills, it might, I don't want to say it's detrimental, but it might not be within your, it might not be in your favor. So definitely work on those if you can.
Well, I mean, even in the workplace, it's, almost more, it's who your teammates are that matters, not necessarily what you're doing. I'm sure y'all have had experiences with that. Y'all ever have either good or really bad experiences with teammates? Not naming names, of course, unless it's me. You can throw me under the bus all you want.
Is that a segue for a story time? Or
if you have a story, do you have something you want to share? Should I go get, I don't know, bag of chips or something?
Nah.
Bust out your Dune cups of your popcorn.
Please no. Oh gosh. The Dune popcorn bucket is a cursed item that I really didn't think was going to come up on this stream. Yeah.
Now it did.
Daph, do you think we should design our own popcorn bucket?
Good idea. And even the popcorn machine creator. That would be cool.
I mean, our logo is a box.
Yeah.
Put the popcorn in the box.
But the popcorn should be neon green. Like
people will die.
No, it will be friendly for the body.
Emma's asked if we're gonna have a Hack the Box bread bowl.
Do bread bowl.
Should we?
Anyway.
It shouldn't be hard.
Yeah.
No, it can be doable.
Yeah,
Hack the
yeah,
box
yeah.
fries. Okay, yeah, we can do
But
that.
green ones.
Yeah.
I insist on the color. Sorry.
Okay. Anyway.
I feel like that's guaranteed to be a carcinogen, but you know what? I'm here for it.
we are here for a fun time, not a long time.
Yeah, there you go. What is it? Die young and leave a pretty corpse, something like that.
Yes,
So-
yes.
something along those
Eat the hack the box neon green food. It's the best choice.
Okay.
I'm really concerned about what y'all are eating there in New York. I don't feel like I should make contact with you for maybe like 2 weeks after you're back. I don't know, something like that. We'll
That
see
would
how
be
it
a nice
goes, right?
Uranium. Uranium is green, so we've been eating uranium.
Oh, well,
Reminding me of my favorite planet, Uranus.
Okay.
for everyone that's watching, if you've ever wondered what the community team is like here at Hack, yes, this is it. This is
Yeah.
what we're like inside. It is just as goofy as you would expect. Yeah. You're just nodding very knowingly. But on that note, like we were saying, for teammates, it really is part of having a good team. It's almost challenging yourself to put yourself out there and be yourself in these situations. I'm sure that y'all have seen this before, where it's really important to be part of the group, not just someone that's in the back listening.
Yeah.
Yeah, that.
I was thinking I left y'all speechless for a moment. I'm like, wow,
Yeah,
Yeah, it was so deep that we didn't know what to
We were
respond.
hypnotized.
We just really wanted an awkward silence. But yeah, no, it's definitely helpful to speak up. Otherwise, if you don't, how is anyone gonna know what you have to say? Your opinions. Maybe they're actually very impactful. So speak up.
absolutely. Have y'all ever had a situation where you've been working with someone else and you've kind of helped improve each other in that way? Ever found like a mentor or just, a peer through going out and meeting folks?
No, never.
Never? Oh, okay. Yeah, we're not social. What are we talking about?
I mean, I had mentors. I see it in my previous jobs. We were all the pen testing teams were really close to each other, and especially for the junior members, that was I joined as a junior member. So that was very encouraging because, even if you are like the best in the world, you have imposter syndrome when you join a new feed or whatever. So having people hype me up, teach me stuff.
Yeah.
And if they are your friends and they're nice guys, they teach you stuff and they do not even tell your manager that they taught you how to do something, right? So it appears even more as an achievement from your side. So this creates a nice environment for everybody to grow. I mean, if you get competitive, it will not look good in the long time. People will not want to go to their job. They will not like each other. Teamwork will, you can guess most of the times.
Plus, try to observe a lot, meaning that there are work behaviors around you. So try to see what inspires you and work towards that way, and compare yourself to the best, never the worst. Yeah.
Speaking of the best, Chats would like to voice that brioche is the best. Just get that out there.
Yeah, I need.
Brioche
Do I
buns are
need to
pretty
say
good.
my favorite bread
I
type?
think you do. You
Yeah,
do.
I'd like favorite breads from everyone on the couch.
Like, it's hard to choose. Can I say pizza?
It's not a
No.
bread.
Why? It
It's not
is.
bread.
How is that bread?
There's
I say
stuff on
pizza.
the bread,
Sorry.
Yeah,
but like the crust rather. But
Yeah. Sorry.
that's not bread.
It's pizza.
It's
It
not,
is.
It's not the kind
Please,
of bread.
let it
You gotta be
go.
like it's gotta be like sourdough or rye or wheat or whole wheat or
Sourdough would
Good
be
choice,
my
good
I feel like
choice.
you
number
seriously
two.
hurt him.
After pizza, though.
I would say brioche is pretty good, but yeah,
Yeah, it
sourdough.
is.
Sourdough.
I'm not
Anything
sure how
warm.
we.
Anything
Go ahead.
warm with butter and a little bit of salt.
Okay, if we're going that route, like the types of bread or just whatever, I'm gonna say challah because I love really fluffy bread and it's usually glazed with some honey on it.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm
I'm
not
gonna
sure
go.
how we got from getting out of your basement to bread, but we're here.
You asked the question, so
You have
or,
to-
well, you didn't
No
ask the
idea
question. Someone said brioche is the best.
how
so-
we came here.
But it makes sense. You have to leave the basement in order to buy the bread.
Yes.
So, there is some
Well.
logic to it.
Well,
Well,
Unless-
You got all these services that deliver the bread to your basement.
True. High tech.
We do have an opinion on the pizza statement. James Goblin says pizza is a sandwich that has not been folded. Sandwiches are bread, so pizza is breaded.
Yes. Thank you,
What?
Gob.
Sandwiches are not bread.
I always liked you, Goblin.
No, sandwiches are not bread. The sandwich goes in the bread.
Come on. Why are
While
you
we're
fighting
talking-
this so much?
Real quick, we do have one more workshop. Thank you, James, for pointing that out. We have one more awesome workshop. This one is done by the one, the only ZeroXDF, David. He is giving a workshop on going beyond root on beginner forensics challenges. So going beyond that, understanding, what you get in the environment, and understanding what all, there's a lot more you can do with these activities. I realized I kind of derailed our bread conversation. Wanted to make sure that got in there. But yeah, awesome stuff. Do you guys have any final thoughts before we go to that workshop?
Nope.
I think we're good.
Yeah.
I think we're good.
Go, David. ZeroXDF.
Woo!
Fun
Yeah.
girls and boys here.
Awesome. Well, let's go ahead and David, you can take it away. Recorded David, that is.
Hey, this is OXDF. In this workshop, we're going to be doing 3 of the more beginner-friendly forensics challenges from last year's Cyber Apocalypse CTF. We're also going to do a little bit of digging in, kind of going beyond root, beyond the flags, actually understanding the challenges and what they present and how they mimic real life. So even if you're not a beginner, hopefully this will be useful for you and you might learn something. With that in mind, let's go ahead and jump in. We're going to start with Alien Cradle. So last year's CTF had a story where there's aliens coming to try to find some relic, and I don't remember exactly the details, but Pandora is our hero. And so if we kind of skip ahead here, we can see they found in PowerShell logs, they found a PowerShell Cradle, a short script that's designed to download and execute a next stage. And it's, I'm gonna say they're gonna say it's obfuscated. It's very slightly obfuscated, and they can't understand it, and so we need to help figure it out. I've already downloaded the files here, so we'll jump over into this VM. We can see I've got cradle.ps1. We can look at some metadata about it right away. If we do a word count on cradle.ps1, we'll see it's actually got 0 lines, which just means it's all on one line. There's no new line. If we go ahead and cat it, you can see we were right. It's all on one line, no new line. We could start to piece together exactly what it's doing here. But something like this, it's probably not totally necessary for here. I like to go into something like VS Code, get myself a nice editor. We can, let's make this a little bit bigger so it fits on the screen. There we go. Close the terminal. And we don't need sneak for this. Alt-Z will wrap the lines for me. Control-F will bring up the find thing. And so what we have here is a bunch of PowerShell commands on one line, separated by semicolons. And so we'll do a Control-F for semicolons, and we can see there's 7 of them. If we down arrow here and replace, a Shift-Enter will actually give me a new line here. And now I can just do replace or replace all. And now all the semicolons are gone and all replaced with new lines. So already I can start to figure out what this is doing. We can probably jump right here. And just if you've done CTFs before, you can see this very clearly is the flag. You have HTB squiggly bracket with some stuff in between. But I want to take a step back and approach this a little bit more forensically. And there's really 2 things we can look at here. First, we look at this first line, and we can see if system security principal Windows identity. So if the current user, we're using that to get the current user, and if their name is not equal to secrethq/arth, then exit. This tells me right away, this is a targeted attack. This is not something they sent out to half the internet hoping to get in somewhere and ransom something and try to get some money. This is somebody who is interested in targeting Arth at secrethq. When I worked in a SOC, one of the main things we were required to document on every ticket was whether it was a targeted attack or just an attack on everybody. And that's not going to change how I forensically go in and try to make sure this didn't run, what domains I might block at the firewall, etc. But it is going to let me know what level of attention I should pay to this. And so when I have them targeting a specific user in only my network, that tells me somebody's job is to get this information from Arth. And if I stop them now, they're probably going to come back tomorrow. And so I should look for as much off of this as I can. Any additional indicators I can find, any other blocks I can put in place, I'm going to want to do that. So that's just useful to know. Lines 2 through 7, with the exception of 6, is really a really standard web cradle, PowerShell cradle. And what that basically is saying is, we've got this. We're going to create a web client. We're going to tell the web client to use whatever credentials are the default proxy credentials in this network. We're going to download something from this, in this case, windowsliveupdater.com. And we're going to save the results in this variable D. And then we're going to decompress. Did we lose? Let's see. Oh, yeah. No, sorry. We're going to decompress. We're going to turn that from base64. So we're going to base64 decode that string into the variable S. And then we're going to gzip decompress that and pass it to IEX. And now IEX is the invoke expression. It's a shortcut for that, so alias for that. So basically, we're going to download something and we're going to run it. And this gives the attacker a few benefits. For one, this script is pretty small. They might be able to slip it through a firewall, maybe more unnoticed, or maybe help avoid AV or EDR. The other thing this gives them is they can change the response they give based on different criteria. So after the first time it's downloaded, maybe they don't want to the next time they give a benign payload back, or they give back something, or they just take it down so it's not there. Or maybe they have IP filters, so they already know what Arth's username and domain is. So maybe they know what IP they expect this to come from. And if Arth were to send this off to a researcher or somebody and they try to download it, they'd get a different payload. So there's all sorts of things you can do with these cradles that provide benefit to the attacker. So that's why you're going to see them. But in this case, not much else to see here. If we actually went to this Windows Live Updater, I believe it's actually just a Rickroll, so nothing really to get out of that. But that's about it. The second thing we can look at is how you deobfuscate things in PowerShell. Now, this is such a simple example. We could probably just spend some time deleting some single quotes and we'd get the flag. But I like to think, let's think a little bit more big picture about it. Can we do something to actually get this deobfuscated? And the answer is, let's run it in PowerShell. One thing you want to be careful when running things in malicious things in PowerShell is a lot of times you'll see if F here we're actually being passed to IEX, like some sort of obfuscated string that then gets passed to IEX. You don't want to run the IEX part because that's what's actually going to invoke the expression. Take this thing and run it as code. But then if you could take the stuff inside of it and run it, feel pretty safe about it because it was being passed to IEX, so it's just decoded into strings. So that you're good with. In this case, we don't have to even really stress about that. The other thing that's really nice is you can do this in Linux. So if I do pwsh here to run PowerShell, now if I paste this in and run it, it ran just fine. If I did accidentally run something, it probably, unless the payload was set up to run on Linux, it's not going to actually infect my host. So that's another tip we can use. Let's see if we can run that. So we can grab this flag here. We can submit it to the platform, get our points. I think that's about it for Alien Cradle. Let's go ahead and jump over here to the next one, and we're going to take a look at extraterrestrial persistence. There's a rumor that there's a persistence mechanism that's impossible to detect. After investigating a recently compromised server, Pandora found this sample. Can you figure out what they're doing? So we'll jump back over here. I'll go to my next terminal window here, and I've got persistence.sh. If we take a look at this, it's a bash script, and it's pretty simple. We can take a look at this starting at the top. So the first two lines is going to run the command who am I and save it as the variable n. It's going to run the command hostname and save it as the variable h. It's going to save user local bin service as the variable path. And then we do a check. Now again, we're being targeted. Again, it's another thing being targeted. So in this case, we're targeting Pandora on the hostname Linux HQ. And if either of those things don't match, then we're going to exit the script. Assuming those do match, there's one thing that's a little bit weird here because we're going to do some stuff in a second that could only be done typically on a Linux system with root privileges. So it's a little bit weird that you have to be running as Pandora, but we'll go with that for now. So now, assuming we don't exit, we're going to curl. We're again similar to the Cradle before. We're going to download from a URL from files.pypy to install packages service blah blah blah, and we're going to save it as user local bin service. We're then going to do a change mod, which is to set this thing executable, and then we are going to run this echo -e with a bunch of base64 encoded data. And you recognize base64 because it's all uppercase, lowercase, digits, and then slash and plus. And then at the end, you might have equal signs. So anytime you see one or two equal signs at the end, a bunch of stuff like that, you feel pretty good. It's base64. But even without that, you can kind of recognize it. And then even if we didn't recognize it, you can say, what's it doing? Well, it's piping. So take the output of this echo command and send it to the base64-decode command. And then the result of that is going to be saved into this file, which is a service file. Now, on Linux and systemd, uses these service files to run services on boot or other times. So, and then you can see they actually run system control enable service.service. So that is going to say basically on every reboot, go ahead and run this service. So what's left to figure out here? Well, it looks like we're downloading something and then we're setting up a service to run it. We might as well take a look at the specific service, and we can just go ahead and grab this right here, copy that, paste it in, and we get the output is what's being saved in the service file right here. Now we got our flag right here, so we've solved it. Just a simple base 64. We've got the flag, but let's take a little bit look. So the exec start, we're gonna remain after X, so it's gonna run and it's gonna keep running. The exec start is gonna run our service, and if we try to stop it, it's gonna run our service. It's gonna run our service binary. So effectively, what this is doing is persistence. What we talked about. So on reboot, run my malware again. So another one. This is very quick, but this is the type of thing you might see. Let's go ahead and take a look at the last challenge. Now, this one's going to be a little bit more in depth. We'll go over here to packet cyclone. And so I've actually already pushed the start button here to get myself an instance. I'll copy this. Pandora's friend and partner Wade is investigating for the Velux location. Noticed some weird traffic. He believes it's compromised. Basically, let's skip ahead a little here. They want us to use a tool called Chainsaw and the Sigma rules provided to detect usage of our clone from the event logs produced by Sysmon. To get the flag, you'll need to start and connect to the Docker service and answer questions. So this is going to give us questions we have to answer to get the flag. Let's go back over here into the VM, and we can do that right away. Let's go here. If we do a netcat and we have this thing, and we just have to replace that colon with the space, and here we are. We have our questions. So we get the exact same description up here. And then what is the email of the attacker used for the exfiltration process? So we don't know what's going on there yet. Let's actually go. The first thing we need to do, I guess, is look at what is, they mentioned using Chainsaw. Chainsaw is a tool, a super useful tool actually, for parsing through event logs and making them more readable or searchable, etc. They can also use Sigma rules. Now, Sigma rules are rules that are meant to ways you can sort of write rules to recognize certain patterns or behaviors. And so we'll look at both of those throughout the course of this. We're going to start by downloading Chainsaw. So we'll go to releases. I'm on Linux, so I'm going to grab this URL right here. We'll just copy the link, jump back here. I'm going to go to my /opt directory. Now, by default, typically only root can write in /opt. One of the things I do on my hacking VMs is just make opt world writable because I want my user to be able to download tools. You could also just run this with sudo if you want, but I'm going to go ahead and grab this. And then I can, let's see, unzip -l chainsaw. Let's do this. Is that not? Oh, it's not zip, it's tar. We'll do a tar tf chainsaw, and that'll list the files. So T is what you use to list, and then F says take in this file. And we can see the files we have are all in the chainsaw directory, so I like that. So we'll do a tar extract file, same thing. And I love alt period to get your it gives you the last word on the previous command. If you can just run it again, so you don't have to fill that out. And now we can go into chainsaw, and here we have what we need. The chainsaw binary itself is right there, as well as this mappings directory, and we're going to need both of those. One thing we can also do, if we want, is we can go to something in our path. So like for me, local bin, I can do an ln of, let's see, opt chainsaw into local bin. And what that just did, if we look in ls-l of local bin chainsaw, we just created this this shortcut right here. And oops, I did not make a symbolic link. Let's do that sf like that. And there you go. So basically, ln-s will make a symbolic link. You can see now in my local bin chainsaw, it points to this. And what that lets me do is anywhere now, I can just run chainsaw, and I can run chainsaw because it's in my path. So let's go back to this. And we probably want, actually, let's go 3. We'll go back to, what was this? What directory were we in? Cyber Apocalypse. Okay. EA24. And we want to go to packet cyclone. And we have logs and signals. We should now check out our data. So if we do an ls on logs, it's actually quite a few evtx files. I think they're all evtx files. In fact, we can figure this out. Let's see. We want to do a cut on delimiter of period, and then we want to get, we can see if we can try to do it with just 2. And then we can do a sort minus u, and you can see that they're all, and so sort unique basically says sort them all and just keep the unique ones, and so everything is EVTX. So we've proven here all our logs are EVTX, so we have a lot of those. What is in our sigma rules here? If we want to open one of those up, our clone, oops, let's see, our clone config. And so this is a YAML file that defines some activity that we're looking for. So we have a title of our clone config file creation. It's going to detect the file being created. It's experimental. It's got a date. It comes from someone from the NCC group. That's a reputable group. We have a blog post here that shows us exactly why they're trying to detect it. They actually talk about false positives. So what are the false positives for running this rule? Well, if someone's legitimately using our clone, you're going to flag this as malicious. Now, on your network, if someone is running our clone, you should probably know that. I mean, that should be documented somewhere that that's a tool that's supposed to be used. So that's why they're saying it should be rare. Maybe on your home network, that would be different. Then let's see. So we're going to look in sysmon. Detection is if we have an event ID with a target file name of cusers something .config our clone something. And so if a file gets created like that, it's going to set this rule off. We can take a look at the other one. Sigma rules, our clone, and execution. And it's very similar. Let's see. So we have the title, the description, a lot of this is the same. Legit our clone usage, again, rare. Now we're looking at process creation. And so if the image ends with our clone and the parent image ends with PowerShell or CMD, and then, well, so basically that's what we're selecting. And then if the command, so like one of the command line arguments is pass user mega sync blah blah blah, those are things we want to flag on. And so the condition is if this is one of these exec selections and one of command selections. So basically this is almost like if you've ever been familiar with YARA rules, which is like a similar language to this, where you can look for different patterns within files, binary patterns especially, or strings. This is looking through logs. Sigma rules help you look through logs to find different events. So we've got that. We've got the Sigma rules. Now we can go ahead and actually run it. So we can do chainsaw, and we're going to give it a dash. Probably pull up the help here. Let's see. So we're going to do a hunt. The chainsaw hunt is our command. And now, let's see if we can get a help on that. Nice. Okay, so we want I think our logs file is just, so it looks like we're going to give it rules and then a path. So we're going to say, can we just use Sigma rules and logs? No, I think it's dash S. Oh yeah, dash S for Sigma. Perfect. Okay, so now it's telling us the following arguments were not provided, mapping. We have to give it a mapping. So if we can go up here and see what is our mapping. A mapping to tell Chainsaw how to use the third-party rules. And you kind of just have to know this with Chainsaw. But if we go to op Chainsaw, there was a mappings directory here, and there's really 2 in here. We can do logs all or logs legacy all. Without knowing too much about it, I'm just going to choose the one that's not legacy and see if that works. And you can see here it's actually running, and it kind of worked here. Let's ugly. I'm going to make my script text a little smaller. We'll go back up when we actually start looking at this, but you can see it's found 2 detections. One of each of the rules has fired, and it tells us the timestamp, the detections, the providers, as well as a bunch of data about the event data. Now, if my text is really big because I want this to be really visible on the on this workshop here. So what I'm actually going to do is we will run this again. With the -JSON flag. And that's going to give us a nice JSON blob here. Now that's still pretty ugly. But one of the benefits is most of this output, except for the JSON, is actually being sent to standard out or standard error. So we can pipe this into my favorite tool, JQ, and give it a dot, and it will break all of this that JSON out into actually readable structured data. And then the one other thing I'm going to do is I'm actually going to pipe that into less. We lose the colors, but we can now easily scroll up and down within our file. And we've got data here. So we can take a look at the things that were run. So first we have, let's see, do we have the name in here. So yeah, here's rclone via execution, rclone execution via command line or PowerShell. And then if we scroll down to the bottom here to the next one, rclone execution via command line or PowerShell. So we have the same one firing twice, and we can look through these and actually figure out the command lines that were run. So C users Wade app data local temp rclone.exe. It seems like a weird place to run an executable out of, especially one that would be legitimately installed typically. So it seems suspicious. Config can create remote mega user. We have an email address and a password. That's pretty good. And then we might as well scroll down to look at the next one. And same thing, we have the same rclone.exe being run. And this time we're actually copying data out of user remote desktop location to remote exfiltration. So we're actually going out to the remote and we're copying that folder, which includes the relics locations. That's what the bad guys are trying to get. So that we definitely want to catch this, right? So now I think we have enough understanding to go back here and try to answer the questions. So what is the email the attacker used for the exfiltration process? So we definitely have that right there. Proton mail. All right, what is the password of the attacker used at the exfiltration process? So we can look at that, and that's going to be this password right here. So what we have here is actually the user is creating a remote through rclone, logging in basically as this user and password into Mega, which is a cloud service. So we can put this here, and that looks correct. What is the cloud service? We just literally said that out loud, Mega. What is the ID of the process used by the attackers to configure their tool? So that's this right here. We're configuring it. So the process ID is actually right here, 3820. If we scroll down a little bit, we can see the execution attributes. Yeah, 3820. This seems like the parent process ID is right here. So we can see it's actually running. It runs PowerShell is what's running rclone. So again, it's possible Wade is in there doing it, but pretty clear it's malicious activity. So we'll grab 3820 here and enter that, and we got that correct. What is the name of the folder exfiltrated? Provide the full path. So that we saw down here in the second log. We are copying this right here. And let's go back. We're probably going to need to get rid of these. Whoa. Can we not paste? I'm probably not going to like that. Yeah. Okay. So it's C, users, Wade, desktop. Actually, you want to see it? We can show a quick trick since we have time. I think this will work. Let's see. If instead of just connecting there, if I do an RL wrap connect, yeah. Let's see. So we can let's grab this, copy, paste. That works. Grab you. Next one's Mega. ID of was it 3820? Yes. Okay. And what is the name of the folder? So let's go back here and grab this folder again. And I don't want, looks like now because we used RL wrap around our netcat, we can actually use arrow keys to move around in our input here. Oops. And do that. So that'll work nicely. RL wrap is something I use almost every time I get a shell on a Windows box, but it's also useful for these kinds of netcat connections where you just want to be able to, it gives me up arrow, though that's not super useful here. Well, I can try. So if I try with it on the end, it didn't like that, but now if I up arrow and get rid of it, it did like it. So I get up arrow, I get the other arrow keys in general, I can move around and delete. So that's useful. All right. What is the name of the folder the attacker exfiltrated the files to? I'm going to say it's probably exfiltration. If we paste that in, and we got it, and it gave us the flag. So we could take that and submit it. Yeah. So this was kind of a speed run through 3 of the challenges from last year's thing. Hopefully, I think the Hack the Box has been doing a better job over the last few years of really trying to make sure there's some beginner-friendly content at each of the challenge levels. That's easier for forensic than it is for a pwn category, but still, it's good to have it out there. So this should hopefully give you a bit of a confidence boost if you're a beginner going in. You can do this stuff. You probably won't do it as fast as I just ran through it, but these are the types of things you can figure out, and these are the types of things you can learn from. It's super valuable. Go in and have fun, enjoy yourself, and hopefully you learn something. And enjoy the CTF. I'll talk to you next time.
All right. Hi, welcome back.
Hi.
Hey. Let's see. We have Adam, Champ, and Panos on here. What do you guys think of the challenge talk?
It was very interesting, all of them.
It's good. I never actually did any of the last year challenges, so it was
I-
kind of interesting to see OXDF there speed through it. But yeah, it was still interesting to see. I've never
I was
actually
thinking
used
about
Chainsaw.
doing forensic challenges for my talk, but he took all of them. So
So you've got a bone to pick with him after this.
yes.
No, it's always fun to watch David Cook. He's very methodical in the way that he hacks, and there's a lot to be learned from that. Real quick, as Emma just put in chat, the VOD will be up right after this. I actually was working to upload these in the background while we were listening to that last talk, so that will be available on YouTube soon after. Those talks that walk through challenges, I definitely recommend rewatching those. They're great to follow along, either hacking with, the one and only Panos there on the couch, or hacking along with David himself. So heck yeah. No, awesome stuff. I think that about does it for the talks. Before we wrap up, though, we have plenty of awesome things going on with the Cyber Apocalypse event. Real quick, I'm going to go ahead and put in chat. This is the link to the Cyber Apocalypse CTF page. Panos, did you want to talk a little bit about the CTF itself?
I think we have covered what it's necessary to know. I mean, for anybody that was not here before, just keep in mind, whatever your skill level, whatever your preference in challenge categories, it has something for everyone. It is over 5 days, so even if you are busy during this weekend, you can do it later. And if you are not, and you can do it like on the weekdays with your team from work. And if you do that, there is another CTF just like that coming in 2 months from now, the business CTF. We are not announcing right now, but it's around the 15th of May when it is happening, which you can compete with your workplace buddies, which I think it's a nice thing as well.
Absolutely. And this is something that, Planos, you mentioned that you don't, regardless of your skill level, you can give this a try. Do you think that this is even a good event? Just, say if I'm an individual and I just want to try these challenges, do you think that that's so okay for me to go in and give it a try?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, later after this, if you go back to my talk, some of the challenges, I think anyone can solve them. And they may not be able to solve 5 of them in 20 minutes, but they can solve them over like 2-3 hours. Or you can take your time. It's a 5-day event. You will, and keep in mind, we do support for it on Discord. And especially for the very easy stuff, we're not too strict about talking with each other, right? So it's a great community as well. So you can join if you join our Discord, it's discord.gg/hackthebox. There are separate Cyber Apocalypse channel, and you can go there and you can have discussions on the challenges with other players. No spoilers allowed, but yes, I think it's the perfect first CTF. So if you do not want to start with the academy straight on, that's the best idea. That's the best thing that you could do.
The Discord's also an awesome place to make teammates if you do want to, hack with some other folks. I mean, Panos, I'm sure you made a few friends on there.
Yeah, kind of.
Oh, is Adam our one that's making friends? Or I don't know, Chap, do you have any friends in the Discord?
Everyone hates me.
I've made some friends on the Discord in the beginning where I used to be much more active.
It's
I
understandable.
plan on becoming again active on Discord. This is something this is my to-do list to
Heck
spend
yeah.
more time there.
I got no friends. Everyone hates me.
Okay. Well then.
I'm kidding.
Real quick, Falcon, do you want to talk about our Cube Talks that we have going on? This is separate from Cyber Apocalypse, but just another event that we have going on most weeks.
Sure. So for anyone who's not familiar, we've been running our Cube Talks every Friday. Look on Discord at the events section if you're interested to see when it is in your local time zone. But basically, it's every Friday. It's 1 hour long. It's our opportunity to give back to the community to answer any questions you might have about Hack the Box as a company, the services we provide, Sherlock's, boxes, challenges, infosec in general. Generally, if we can answer the question, our team will. So even if you have some career-related questions or anything like that, we do answer some silly, fun questions like what's our favorite bread, and other things. But yeah, if you have any questions, feel free to pop in every Friday and ask your question there. And if we don't get to your question, just ask us in the server.
Heck yeah. No, thank you so much for touching on that. Chap, we'll have to see if we can pull you into one of those sometime. I'm sure you'd have fun.
He was.
I
He already
joined
appeared
one
on
a
one.
while ago, 2
Oh,
or 3 weeks
yeah.
ago.
What am
Yeah,
I
yeah,
thinking?
yeah.
I forgot about that. Yeah, no, you're already on the ball with this. Heck yeah.
Yeah, and I loved it. I plan on just joining in when no one expects me to.
Goblin should also join if he's still in the chat.
Goblin has also joined. He should join more in the future. We always we have OXDF and IPSEC who are regulars as well. Maybe we'll get some new regulars, but yeah, if you're interested, join us. Obviously not today, but next Friday, and you can see in Discord when we have them every week. Otherwise, yeah, every Friday unless stated otherwise.
Absolutely. No, thank you so much for going through that. Yeah, no, it's a great time. I definitely recommend it, especially if you want to come and hang out with all of us goobers. I promise we don't bite that much. Panos, I don't know, he's a killer.
I'm a biter.
Oh, jeez. Well, then, I think that about does it for our Cyber Apocalypse workshop live stream. Did we want to bring everybody on to wave bye for wrapping this up here in a moment?
That would be a nice idea. Guys,
Heck yeah.
do you want to come?
Bring it in. Bring it in.
James has said
Hello
there
to
are a
everyone.
couple of biters. Here, I'll put this on stream for a moment. So beware, yes. Hey, everyone. Yay. Woo. Thank you so much, everyone, for being a part of the Cyber Apocalypse live stream. Thank you so much to my team that's there in New York. Y'all are the best. Thank you so much for running the show, even with, extended circumstances. Thank you so much, everyone that's in the live stream. If you're watching this after the fact, you're the best. And yeah, I think that about does it. Did I miss any shout outs there, you guys?
No, I think you're good.
Yep, you're good.
Heck yeah.
All right,
Be
thanks,
sure
everyone.
to
Thank you.
Goodbye,
check
guys.
out Cyber
Bye-bye.
Apocalypse. Thanks to everyone that did the content for it. And bye, everyone. Thanks all.